starting with the timer.
Okay, let me go over and see what it looks like on my channel, okay?
Mhm.
I'll go under, where did it go? Ah, and let me refresh. There's nothing under live,
Really?
nothing videos. It just shows my
Let me see.
video, little minute video I did. So I'm going to go to live on studio, and I'm going to go to live on the YouTube.
It's showing it. You're on. You're live.
How come I don't? Okay, how come I don't see it? Take your word for it. I don't see it.
It's showing it. We have 1 minute 30 seconds on there.
Under YouTube.
Yes.
You want to see American Philippine style under live home or videos or?
Yeah, I just looked at your channel.
Under live or anything?
Yes, under live.
All right. Oh, I see one watching, but I don't see a countdown. So you're the one that's watching.
No, I'm not. I am more.
Really? Because I don't see a countdown. I better get back to you. Yeah, 2 minutes, 57 seconds now.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
Just be patient.
There's a little delay because of the way it's being done. All right, that's the channel. I'm going to go stay over here, 41 seconds. Heard of. Ooh, that was my phone. I will put down the volume there. Hopefully this fellow will watch, or other people if they catch my promo.
We got 3 now. Welcome, everyone, to the JP Network. I am your host, Paul. If this is your first time seeing me, my wife and I just got married. Actually, got married back in October of 2022. I'm currently married to my lovely Filipino wife, Joanna, and we recently celebrated our first anniversary this past year. Our topic today is on this live is why East meets West, why Western, East meets West, and why Western men want to go overseas to the Philippines to marry a Filipina. What makes them so different from their counterparts, even in the West? I would like to suggest that if you're watching this live replay, this content, it is our personal perspective that is not to be considered true or for everyone's values. This is our personal opinion and on why we feel Filipinos make better women than their Western counterparts. You may differ from your views and your opinions, but that's okay. Our goal is to focus to reach men who were once like us, which with so much doubt in finding someone for them in their home country, we want to tell those men that there is a chance to love again. That God says, that it's not good for a man to be alone. Even to the possibility to consider that there is love beyond the sea. With that said, let's get started, and I'd like to welcome my guest and good friend, Bob, and his channel, Love Beyond the Sea. Welcome, Bob.
Hi there, Paul. I want to thank you for all the great work that you've done to get this set up. I'm sure it's, to people out there, it looks like, oh, well, that's pretty smooth. Well, it takes a lot of time and effort to make it look that way, and hopefully it does go that way tonight.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, this is my first live. I'm kind of a little bit nervous, but hopefully I can get some energy going. I know I talked a little bit from my script, but but we're gonna get there. So there
This
you
is
go.
what you do for energy on your live.
There we go. Yeah. Mm. So let's get on this topic, Bob. So our first topic is we want to know why men seek. Oh wait, no. Let me start with this question. Bob, give a little background for my audience. Give a little bit, a little bit about your history, a little bit about your background, and your channel and everything.
Okay, Paul. 2015 March. I was very, very, very distraught, thinking, okay, I've spent all my years looking for a wife, and it's not going to happen. And then my pastor recommended, long story short, the Philippines because he'd seen an article or a video or something about a man that kind of in my position. So I said, Pastor Scott, I'll do anything. I'll try anything. And once I did, I said, you know what, this could be my last hurrah. I'm going to go in full bore, and I did. Met my wife like March 17th, and by April 4th, I was already in the Philippines. Gave her the ring. We got engaged. We got married May 10th, and that was 2015. So it's been a while. She's been here since 2016. So that's where we are. So it's I can look back and say I'm glad I didn't give up. And Paul and I have been in those situations. We're different ages and all that, but you get to the point where you're thinking, what's the point? What's the point? I've done everything 3 times already. The dating sites aren't working. People aren't introducing me to anybody. Nobody knows anybody that's available. So what am I going to do? Spend the rest of my day alone? My life alone? No, I'm going to try to do something else.
And you sure feel like distraught and hopeless. I know I do, dating so many women and don't hope getting anywhere, right?
Well, we want to keep going, but the depression comes in.
Exactly.
They say that anger is a goal blocked, and I was certainly angry. And then they say depression is a goal impossible. So if you're angry, you've got something you're trying to accomplish that you're not getting anywhere with. When you kind of lose hope and you think it's blocked for good, that's when the depression comes in.
That is true.
So I had plenty of that, but then I did something way out of my comfort zone. Went to the Philippines, knowing nothing about. I didn't even know where I couldn't have found the Philippines on a map.
I know. I have to ask you: were you scared going? Were you scared going? I mean, this is like
I should have been. I should have been.
Yeah.
But I was so laser focused on the next thing, which was the tickets and the first stop and the second stop and the third stop. It took 4 flights to get there. And I can remember as we're talking about this in my head, I'm already playing back the scene of me going through the airport in Manila because they lost my luggage. Which
really?
Yeah, but they told me about 5 people every flight lose their luggage. And I showed up the next day at the hotel. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, now there's no Wi-Fi. There's no Wi-Fi in the airport. How am I supposed to contact my wife and let her know I'm here, or my fiance? Then she's going to leave thinking I stood her up. So I asked a nice guy over there. He gave me his phone on his Viber, and he let me call on his phone my wife's Viber number. And I said, okay, I got to give this phone back, but I'm here. Where are you? Then I go outside, and then everybody looks the same. And she told me, well, you don't look the same. So it was easy for me to find you because I was thinking, well, there she is. No, that's not her. Well, that could be. No, that's not her either. So where is she? Because the Wi-Fi wasn't working. Then she found me, and I remember that in my mind like it just happened. So very exciting times ahead for those gentlemen that are willing to give this a chance, Paul. And
yes,
the same thing. We all have different stories, but
we all have different stories. We all have different backgrounds too. That's like part of the thing, is that each story is unique. We alone have this unique story that we could tell, that we can somewhat shine light into, that that we can kind of give some people kind of help for. But every story is unique. My story is definitely unique, and one of these days I'm going to talk about it. I want to go into the topic. I don't want to go too far into the main reason why, but I have the same feeling that you had. I felt very distraught. I felt very like uncertain. I have I have sole custody to my 10-year-old son now, and I want a family, and I felt like I had no hope giving him that kind of a family. And the women that was bringing in his life, he was having detachment issues when we broke up. That was a
Mm.
that was a bigger issue, and I wanted somebody who would honestly stay with me, someone who would really genuinely really love me for me, someone who would really love me unconditionally. And that was just what I was looking for. And I've heard about these things in the West, and I've always really liked Asian women, and I was looking
Mm.
around on Asian women in that kind of situation, and I started looking up on Google. Nobody showed me or anything like that the possibility of the Philippines. I just started Googling away what's the best Asian country to get married, and then also which Asian country is the most adaptable. That was my thing. And both times the Philippines popped up, and I was just like, and and then I started, I opened up a dating website, your same story, and I started talking, and lo and behold, I found my wife. you know Now, and I do want to talk about this in the future, but I would also like to say that for some people, dating websites would probably not be beneficial. There's plenty of people on YouTube right now that swear don't get on dating websites, meet them in person, just go to the Philippines. I'm not against that. I'm not at all against that. I think if you do meet somebody online, you have to be a little screwed. Yeah, I guess you have to be careful. There are scammers. We have to watch out for that kind of situation. But for between me and Bob and several others that I've met, they had success finding a woman overseas, especially in Southeast Asia, especially in the Philippines, and in various other countries. But I would definitely say, at least if you are feeling hopeless, give it a shot. You know, what can you lose? If you got the support, you got the capability of doing it, then by all means go out there and get it done. Find a woman that really wants to genuinely love you. And I think these women have different values, and we're going to talk why Filipinas have different values. Why Filipinos generally. I mean, all Philippine people just generally have different values compared to us. And that's the first topic we're going to talk about: what a man wants, what a man wants from a woman.
I'm going to have to jot down some notes once in a while here.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
done a bunch of live streams, but not for a while. And there comes a time when you have something to say, and then you don't remember what it was.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
Please put that down a little bit.
and let's see, Warren found his fiance on YouTube. That's interesting.
That's
Way to
awesome.
find them.
That's
And
good.
freely, 12th of March, you're going to be getting there about the start of the summer, I think. So
Yeah.
bring your suntan lotion.
Exactly. Yeah. I want to welcome all of you guys that are on our live. I do want to tell you guys, hold your comments, hold anything that you want to say. We're going to kind of cover these topics a little bit today, and then we're going to have a Q&A right afterward. We're not ignoring you. Me and Bob just want to kind of get through our talking points. We want to encourage you guys. We want to just give you guys and stuff you full a whole lot of information real quick, and then we're gonna open up for Q&A. So if you guys have any questions or comments about it, and you guys found this intelligent, you guys found this helpful at all, let us know, and like and subscribe. Encourage more people. You guys alone, you too, Warren, you too, Freely Farms, all these people like that. You guys are exceptional. You guys are wonderful. You guys are beating the odds of finding love beyond the sea.
Well, one thing you said, what do you have to lose? Well,
yeah, exactly. What do you have to lose?
You would lose is you would regret that you didn't take the opportunity. Yeah. And then you want to get that out of there and say, I have no regrets. I tried. I looked even to the Philippines. And so once you've done that, you can say, I don't have anything to be ashamed of. I tried. I asked questions. I made good strategy. I tried to meet some people in another country, and where a lot of people do meet wives, women to marry. And so you don't want to have any regrets. So that's why you want to come to a channel like both of ours, where we're interested in marriage and real relationships, and so that you don't have any regrets. Ask questions, watch videos, get yourself informed and comfortable with making the move out there. I think you should go out to meet this woman that is so remarkable and meet her in person. Very important to see where she lives. That kind of forms who she is. If she's tough, if she's strong, Find out why. Go see where she's lived and grown up and went to school and meet her friends. The more you meet her friends or family, you learn more about her. And we're just going to talk in general some ideas about what women are like, but you're going to learn mostly by going out there and walking in their shoes, so to speak, in the Philippines.
So, Bob, maybe I can ask you this question: what what do you want as a man? Out of a woman, just general. What do you want?
Companionship.
Huh?
Companionship.
Companionship. That's a good point. Give me another point, just a quick one.
Sexual
Yeah,
intimacy.
yeah, that's good. So we out of that we want, but me alone, I want respect. And I think I just generally, I don't think I get that from Western women. I think I think I get a lot of conditional love. I think I get a lot of disrespect. I get companionship sometimes, but there's so many of us. I mean it. There's so many of us that feel, even when we have a companion, that will feel alone, and that's just not something you know that I really want.
So, Paul, how do you know your Filipina is respecting you?
How do I know my Filipinos respecting me?
What makes you say this? This is respect.
That's a good question. I will.
We didn't practice
I
everything
think,
here,
yeah,
so I'm just ad lib.
yeah, this is completely off the fly. Everything we're talking about. So I guess one thing that would suit me of understanding what makes me feel more respected is that I'm heard. The things that I feel in my life, the things that I desire, the goals I want, the dreams, the visions I have for myself, the visions to have this YouTube channel. I think, for her to support me and to respect me and not say, and not devalue me, not to throw me down, not to say, that's all fine and dandy, let me do my own thing. That doesn't sound like respect. I don't think it feels genuine. I don't think, I understand we all have different things we need to do in life. I understand that we have different priorities. But but when you come along someone, especially you want to plan to marry them, you guys need to equally work together. It's called unity. God tells us that we need to be united in one, in holy matrimony. That's why we get married. You know, we we two become one flesh, and that's what I'm looking for. I want somebody to walk with me, walk in step with me. And if I don't feel that way, then they're not desirable. That's who I am. Do you feel that same way?
Yeah, but the respect issue. My first three was sex and companionship and touch. I like touch, and
Yeah.
but as far as respect, I guess to me, I would feel disrespected if my wife just ignored everything I said.
Yeah.
And that's where you're not working together. Because anytime you're in a relationship, especially marriage,
Yeah.
you got to decide. You have to, as a man, you have to be considerate of your wife. Well, where do you want to go on vacation? What do you want to do? What do you want to buy? What movie you want to see? I mean, you can't just say we're doing it my way. I got you, dragged you out of I got you out of the Philippines. Now you're with Mr. Wonderful. I'm going to lay down the law and make all the decisions. That's not the way it works. And
No.
so she won't feel respected if you don't listen to her, if she doesn't feel heard. And
Exactly.
so if I feel like, okay, she's, we're going to work together on plans for the future, then I feel part of a team that way. And so I feel respected when we can do that.
Yeah, it's like that teamwork makes the dream work kind of a thing, and it, you have to be a team with your wife, don't you? You have to feel like you're working together, don't you?
You have
Otherwise,
to
you're
have each
working.
other's backs.
Otherwise, you're working against each other, and that doesn't feel like love, does it?
You don't want to be competitors. You want to be
No, exactly.
companions.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so uh, we're going to go into our talking points here. I have several different discussions. We're going to cover 10 full topics and with at least three subtopics. And we're going to kind of go over that. And me and Bob are going to just have a dialogue back and forth. And we're going to see if you guys disagree, if this sounds like your significant other, this sounds like the woman that you're talking to in the Philippines. You may disagree with this. And if you guys do disagree with this, I mean, everyone is unique. So I do have a disclaimer here. Keep in mind that these are very general statements. Not every Filipino behaves this way. You guys have to do your kind of this way, but we're giving you like the overall our perspective of what we see in Filipinas, you know, and there's always exceptions to the rule. So, but we're gonna go on and talk about point number one: family order. Filipinas, Filipinos alone are family oriented. You know, they come from a religious background. You know, they support. You know, family is very important to them in the Philippines. What do you think, Bob? Do you think it's
Well, it
important?
was one of the things I didn't know when I went to the Philippines. All I cared about was meeting and marrying my wife.
Mm,
So I'm not one of those people that said, I've watched all these videos about the Philippines before I got married. I didn't have any such background. I just was after the woman. And so some people say, well, I don't want her to be family oriented
mm,
because then they'll be asking us for money all the time. Some guys say, if I ever live there, we're living 2 islands away from her family. Now you talk about lack of respect. That's
yeah.
totally disrespectful to her. That's the last thing you want, or she wants. That's the last
Mm,
impression you want to give her. So family oriented is good. That means if she's, let's say she's not family oriented, what makes you think she's going to stick with you? Your family. If
yeah.
she's family oriented, she probably has learned that not all siblings get along and they don't always, do things the same way. And so she's probably a little bit more ready for you to live with if she
Mm.
is family oriented. And my wife
That's
is.
That's true. That's very true. I know for my wife, you know, family's big for her. You know, she's a middle child out of like 10 children. So that's a really big family.
That
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah, it's a really big family. And the moment I started talking to her, you know, I had family and extended family, like her immediate family, extended family, and extended family started friending me on Facebook. And that was just kind of the thing, you know. They were like, they wanted to know who I was, they wanted to know more about me, you know, they wanted to talk to me, they wanted to see what kind of person I am. You know, I had her sisters kind of, you know, address themselves and ask me what I'm about. And it was just kind of that, you know, that kind of thing. And then they all just went in and supported me with so much. And when I actually finally went over there, it was way more. It was, and I know a lot of us probably feel uncomfortable in that kind of situation because we might feel introverted or something. We don't feel, you know, like typically here in America, we don't have that kind of close family ties. We might have just our immediate family, we might have our brother and sister, we might have just our children, might just have our spouse, but we don't typically have a whole lot. I know personally, me passionately, I don't really talk to my dad in months sometimes, and I feel kind of bad about it, but it's just, you know, just how it is. And and I see it typical in that kind of scenario. But I feel really welcome going to the Philippines, and like how much they party, how much they spend time together, all these big events that they have together. When I showed up, there's a big giant huge plate of food and they're all celebrating. They put me and my son, uh you know, like our names on the side of the wall, says welcome Paul and Colton. It was wonderful. It was.
You mean that's not going to happen in Missouri?
Huh?
It's not going to happen in Missouri?
No, that doesn't happen very much like that. Now that might happen. It might happen when my wife gets here with my church mates, but my family won't do it.
Yeah.
That's not normal what my family would do.
Yeah. Different culture.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. You know, my family would just come over and say hi, and then kind of leave. That's kind of how it is.
Paul, this looks different than what I see on YouTube. Is there a like button somewhere?
So what they do is they can heart our video. I
And
think they
how
can
do I
heart it,
do
they
that?
can like it. I think there is a like button on here if you guys do want to like and subscribe to our channel.
I'm just
Um,
looking for it. I don't see
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I'm not really
Maybe
familiar.
not on
Yeah.
StreamYard.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works. Oh, you're talking on StreamYard. I'm not sure about StreamYard, how that works out. But we are currently streaming on StreamYard. We're using a
Right.
third-party platform to do this right now. And
Yeah.
now we're going to go into our next sub point. And um, along with, you know, being family oriented and strong religious values, you know, they have a strong family ties. They expect your Filipino wife to be on WhatsApp, Skype, Messenger, talking to her family for all hours of the day. How's that working out for you? Does your wife talk to her family often?
Well, yeah, especially early on. And by the way, I thank you to the four people watching here tonight.
Hmm.
Um, Initially, of course, you have to expect her to be really clinging almost to her family because when she gets on that plane, which probably the first plane trip she's ever taken, and then another plane, and maybe another plane, and half a day and a half later, she finally gets to you. She's going to wonder what she's done. That's a big move, and she may feel really alone and shocked. It's okay. You have to understand she just moved halfway across the world and to be with somebody she doesn't know as well as she's going to eventually. And so she's going to want to, it's only natural. So I would suggest let her talk to her family. At some point, you probably, if it's getting out of hand, you just have to say, it's just kind of a lot. But they have different time zones. And so depending where you live, it's about 14 hours here. So maybe you're feeling like, well, let's do something. And then they're saying, well, they're just getting up now. Or I have to talk to them before they go to bed. And so maybe that you get some conflict with the times. You just have to, like anything else, just work things out. But yes, Paul, for sure, that family tie doesn't break the minute they leave the Philippines airspace.
Yeah.
They're going to want to continue to be with them.
Yeah, as for me, I mean that currently my wife isn't currently here. We're currently talking, and she talks to me a lot. And then she actually, I guess, on the other side is that she started a group chat, not only with my family, a little bit of my family. She wants strong family ties with my family, even though they may not feel as close to her as her family. But also, she went ahead and she invited me to her family's group chat, and even though we kind of struggle speaking back and forth, we still strive to have that conversation. I still show them what's going on in my life, and I just feel generally like I can speak to them, and I can help them out in any way I really desire. And then I want to be a part of her family when she gets here, and I want to support the fact that she can still talk to her family. I want us to have good internet, and that's
Well,
just that's my thing is, I do want her to talk. I do agree with you the fact that it can be a little too much if they do kind of, talk all the time, day and hour, every day and night throughout that, because you want some intimate and some time, personal time talking to your wife
mhm.
also. So
So, Paul, is it? I know we didn't talk about this, but if somebody wanted to pop in a question that we can get to later, just so they don't forget, and then we can always scroll back up and make sure we answer it.
I have a thing. If you guys do have a question, and we can scroll back through it later, is put a Q next to your comment, and then that way we can actually see it and we can identify that this is actually a question later on.
Because
And
if
that way,
you're new to all this, you're
yeah,
probably thinking, back up, back up. What did you say about that?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch out for what.
yeah.
And
So
just
yeah,
like I do, I write notes down. You can write a note down and say, I want to ask about this. I'll just leave a comment and we can
yeah,
get to it
yeah.
later.
And if you're watching this on the replay, put a comment down below and stuff. Let us know how you feel about these situations. This is just our personal perspective again, and we want to invite everyone to be able to contribute to this. But go ahead and put a Q right in front of it, a Q, and then some quotations, and then put your comment down there below. And then
Five,
when we
five
finally
people.
scroll through that, we'll see that, and we can identify it. We can answer any questions or comments that you guys might have
5 people on a wintry night,
on a wintry night.
Friday night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please leave a comment, and we would love to talk to you later. It's the first time we've been doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, credit to Paul for all the work it takes to do something like this. This doesn't just happen by snapping your fingers.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. All right. On to the next point, and 1B. All right. They are a family planner. Most Filipinas want to start their own family. How's that for you, Bob?
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. And
Yeah.
so a man needs to be prepared for that. A lot of men know that already. And if they're dating a woman that's 20, 22, 24 years old, they'll get a vasectomy just to prevent her from, having a child with him, or they've done it already. And that's something they better not keep from her. They need to, in my opinion, disclose that, because what Paul said is absolutely true. And so don't mess around with that one. If you don't want that, you better let her know immediately.
Exactly. So yeah, on my thing is that yeah, they pride themselves in family and even start their own family. I think it's ingrained in their life to actually start a family because that's like something that their parents have told them. You need to start a family. Sometimes they might even ask them consistently, like, when are you going to have children? When are you going to find a husband? When are you going to settle down? And that's just something, that's ingrained in their life. That's what they do. That's part of their culture. They have a lot of kids, and it's something that is written into their lives that they need to do in their life. It's very different than here in the West. Women are starting to step out of that role. They no longer want kids. They no longer want to value kids. They want your full attention because it's all about them. It's conditional. I think it is, and that's just something that I personally don't agree with. I want to have another child at least. I don't want to have. I don't know. My wife told me she wanted to have a litter of kids, and I just told her I can't do it here. I told her, it's not something that I can really have here because of how expensive it can be to have kids here. And she didn't quite understand, but we worked through that. And I said, we can possibly work together and try to have two children. And, but I'm pushing close to 40 now, and I don't want to raise children into my retirement. But that's not something I want to disrespect her about, but it's something that I do want other kids. I want my son, to have a sibling, but it's not something I don't want a whole bunch of kids. I don't want to be a Mormon or anything. But so
I would rather have the Filipina be interested in that than saying, "Oh heck no, I want nothing to do with that."
yeah.
That would be a red flag to me.
Yeah,
If I was
exactly.
somebody that didn't want to have a family, that would be a red flag if she actually said that.
I agree. All right, on to our next topic, 1C. So there's 3 points for every topic that we have discussed. We're just going to try to fly through them as quick as possible so we can get to you guys' questions. Just to let you guys know, put a Q next to any question you might have, and that way we can answer them, and we'll put them up on our screen, and me and Bob can talk about that. So on to our next question. Religion is often the center of their foundation. How's that for you, Bob? Religion.
Now, 80% of the Philippines is supposedly Catholic. So if you're on a dating site for Filipina, and there are a number of good ones, then you will be able to select, I'm sure, what type of denomination. Catholic, what they call born again means non Catholic, or they might say Protestant, whatever there is. That 80% are Catholic, so you should know that. If somebody's a Catholic and says, I want to find a Catholic woman, well, the Philippines is probably as good a place as any. But that's just, be ready for that, because, that is a big influence in the Philippines.
Yeah.
It was for me. That's why I looked there. I'm not Catholic, but I wanted to find, wherever I found my wife, I wanted her to be a Christian. So that's why I was on Christian Filipina. And I found my wife there in like 5 days. Took me to meet her. And then we got married shortly after that.
I
So that
know
was,
from Oh, go. You
oh,
have some more to say.
that was,
Okay.
no, that was a big
Oh,
thing.
okay. All right. I know for myself that yeah, I really wanted a Christian. I've been saved, approximately about 8 years now, and it was just something that I valued in. Paul warns us that we should not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, and and personally, I don't think Catholics fit the same criteria as Christians. That's my personal belief. I think that's God's belief too. But but and when I didn't get on Christian Filipino like Bob did, but I did get on a dating site, and I noticed right away, and I actually had to look it up. I noticed right away that most of these were predominantly Catholic.
Mhm.
A lot of them proclaimed to be Catholic, but they didn't actually, they weren't going to mass. And then and then the ones that were devout Catholic, they seem to have some moral convictions, but they didn't fit the criteria to be Christian. So I started kind of setting up my profile online to tell them that I'm not a Catholic, that I'm a Christian. I'm looking for a Christian woman, and I started asking these Catholic women, if they, I started picking through them, and I asked them because I know a lot of Catholics, they only go through the New Testament. That's what their minister, I guess their uh what is not Pope, what is it called, Bob? It's
Priest.
yeah, they're priest. That's what it is. So I know they're priests there. They only go through the New Testament most of the time. That's all they do. They follow this criteria, and that's all they do. And and it's all ceremonial, and it's all these different things that they do, and it's not something that they fully understand what it is to be a Christian. They have no full understanding. They're not really reading their Bible like they should. And I set up my profile, and then I told them I'm not a Catholic. I don't want to talk to a Catholic woman. I want a true Christian. And when I did it that way, some of them kind of backlashed at me. Some still try to talk to me. And then I asked them, a Bible story. And I asked them, I said, do you know the story of Joshua and the city of Jericho? That should be a typical simple story that any Christian should know. You should learn that even like early on when you're a child.
Mhm.
And that really shows me that you're really reading your Bible. And I think that proves to me that if you are really into your Bible and you really are a Christian, then you should be able to understand and tell me that story.
They
What
may
do you
be a relatively new believer, though,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
they
and
did not grow up with that, and maybe their church has never taught them that.
yeah.
So kind of depends on the circumstances. But
And yeah, and I agree with that, but I wanted someone that probably had a little bit more faith-based than I did, and I wanted somebody who was able to. And my wife didn't quite know the story, but she knew about the story, and that was kind of enough for me, but she kind of, and we kind of talked through it, and she remembered that story. But I'll even say I think my wife is more faithful to Christ than I am. She's more devoted to that. She has her own Bible studies every Monday and Friday on her farm, and she she has a Bible journal. She has a prayer list. She does so much for God. She works and ministers and helps out the children, gives gifts and stuff like that. She helps out the children ministry. And that's something I wanted. I wanted somebody who was more faithful than I can even try to be, because she's going to elevate my faith. That's my thing. You know, it's gonna encourage me to be more faithful to God too. You know, because like we know the Bible says iron sharpens iron, and we need to know that.
hopefully, we both encourage each other. I just wrote
Exactly.
down here: be honest when it comes to what
Mhm.
you're looking for. Be honest. Don't leave anything out. Be honest, because if you leave something out, you could mislead that person, and you wouldn't want them leaving something out. Like find out 3 months later, well, why didn't you say that? I'm not really
Mm,
right for you. Lay it all out. If it's not, doesn't look like it's going to work out, great. Thank them for their time and move on. But you owe it to each other to be totally honest.
I
This is
agree.
what I need. This is what's important to me. This isn't important to me.
Mm.
Just be honest. What's wrong with being that? They're thousands of miles away. They're not going to come after you, if they're not happy.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're on to the next topic. Realistic expectations, what they want out of a relationship. That's what we're going to cover here, and our second topic. And um, you know, women in the Philippines general. I usually see this just generally, that women here in America, Western women, they typically dance around the questions. They kind of leave you stumped. You don't really know their intentions in life, and you kind of just feel like you're you're kind of handed a resume. You're kind of hoping that this is the right kind of woman, and you don't really know if she is the right kind of woman for you. And you're kind of looking for this special woman in your life that's going to be the woman that completes you, and it doesn't feel that way here. I feel like a woman over there, she doesn't really dance around. She kind of tells you, hey, I want to get married, I want to have children, I want to do all these things. And what do you think, Bob?
Well, that's what we all want, is that person to be honest with us. I don't know why they wouldn't be. I think my wife was, but if people aren't being honest, then maybe they don't want a relationship. If they can't even verbalize what's important to them, or why they're on the dating site, or why they're even talking to you, I mean, they should say, I want to be married. And I mean, why not? Why not just say that's what they want? They all women want. Well, the financial part of it is always going to be a part of this, and they want someone to protect them, just like any woman, provide for them, comfort them. They need somebody to hug them and give them solace and comfort, and support them. I told my wife, if anybody harms one thread of hair on her head, you know, there's going to be hell to pay, because, that's my woman, and she needs to know I'm support her, even if she's wrong. I'm going to try to support her. And,
That's really good. That's
she's
really
my
good.
wife. I'm not
Yeah,
going to. She breaks the law, I'm not going to tell her she did right. But even if she makes a mistake, she goofs up, I'm still going to support her. She
yeah,
needs to know that. If that's part of what I need to do, I need to support her. She needs to know I can screw up, and my husband's still the same person. Maybe he'll say something to me, but we're going to move on, and we're going to be fine because he has my back. That's what I want from her. And sometimes I don't know, maybe she feels like I'm overdoing it that way, but no, I'm going to support her, right or wrong, because she's my wife. Maybe that's
yeah.
wrong, but that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I exactly agree with you on that. That we need to support our wives no matter what. And I like that. I do. I really like how you put that. That we, no matter how bad, if somebody tries to harm her and stuff, you're gonna stand up against her. Sorry, stand up against that person, and you want to support her. I know there was several situations where I felt like I felt obligated to stand up for my wife and stuff too, and wanted to be there with her, and I think my wife felt the same way. She's definitely wanted to address the fact, and I know she's a little jealous, but the fact is that she wanted me to know that she's going to stand up for me too. That she's not going to let anyone get in our way. She's going to protect me. She's going to protect my son. She's going to be there for my family. She's going to be there. She's going to be my confidant, and no matter what. And I think it's a great thing to feel that way.
Okay.
Yeah. They tell you plainly that they don't like something. How's that one?
Well, I can't disagree with it, but Filipinos have this reputation of being, I don't know, quiet and docile, which would kind of just be the opposite. They would just not say anything. But
Mm,
my wife isn't like that. If I'm doing something wrong, she'll tell me. I even told her one time, if I'm doing something wrong, tell me, because I might not be aware of it.
mm,
I might not be aware how badly it affects you. So, but in my opinion, and she's the only Filipina I know personally, she will tell me, and I need to know that. I
yeah.
mean, I hope she's always that way. I need to know, whether it's tone of my voice, which I know sometimes is not good, or my language, which is sometimes not good. That I know. She doesn't have to tell me. It's obvious. I know as soon as it comes out. But if it's, I don't know, I'm late, or I'm not paying attention, or whatever, she should let me know.
Yeah. And I think that leaves us just to be fallible. That we need to understand that we are fallible. We're not infallible people. And no matter what, that we can't always expect everything from our spouses to do the right thing. And, we're gonna mess up. We're gonna mess up and hurt each other no matter what sometimes. But one thing is that my wife does tell me directly, how she feels, but unless she's upset. Well, if they are completely upset, that can be tampo, and we're going to
Right.
talk about that a little bit. Yeah. So where they just freeze up, and that's just something that I think we're going to leave for a future topic a little bit. We
Yeah,
might
that's the
talk
whole
about a
topic.
little bit. Yeah, we're going to talk about certain things that you need to watch out for with your Filipina, and or how to address them. But that's another thing we are going to cover tampo a little bit in this discussion. But they don't often think of the future. Does your wife think of the future often, or no? Or
Not
do
when
they
she,
think of
I
here and the
don't
now?
think so. Not when she got here,
Mm,
because
Okay.
in a sense, the future is just beginning. She just took a step to leave her country, her family, to be with some guy she doesn't know very well yet. I'm probably more future oriented because I'm here in America, and a lot of that has to do with money, where you're thinking, can we afford this next car or next house, or how much do I need to have when I retire, and what is this going to cost? And so we're always thinking financially in terms of the future, but still, even otherwise, you got to think about your age and your health. And I know I just do that. I hope other guys do too, but I think she's getting more into that as she realizes living here, you better start planning ahead because life goes by very fast
Very quick. Yeah.
and you don't get another chance. So
Yeah. Yeah.
plan ahead if you can. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with him on that topic. I think in several videos I've kind of watched and even kind of talking to my wife that she doesn't have a whole lot of plans. She doesn't know what to expect of the future. A lot of Filipinos, just in general, all Filipinos, in the Philippines, they live day by day. They eat
Mm.
daily. They only have their daily provisions in life. They don't have a whole lot often, and and they can't think of the future because the future is not written for them. I mean, very few of them can actually think ahead. I've met a few. I believe my scuba diving instructor, he was probably more thinking of his future. He was able to start several different businesses and stuff, and I think when they do that, but I had that kind of complication trying to understand my wife a little bit, trying to work through. I'm like, you don't dream, you don't think about your future, you don't have these visions, these thoughts, and she's like, Not as much, no, not that much. She just thinks about me all the time." And then that was just kind of it. And I'm working. We've only been married 1 year, and I'm hoping that kind of changes with her a little bit. The moment she's here, she's going to be able to think more of the future. She wants us to save up, she wants us to save for retirement. She is thinking about doing that, but currently right now she's just kind of living day by day.
That's understandable.
Yeah,
As far as thinking about the future, you want to make sure if you are the one that's thinking about the future, that you make sure she's on the same page.
exactly.
Are you comfortable with this? What about this? Always don't do anything if she's scared to death, thinks it's wrong, doesn't want to do it, isn't sure. That's why the future, that's why I make our decisions together. If we're going to build a house in the Philippines, well, I'd like to have little say in what's going to be in there in case I live there someday. But I'm not going to force her to get a house or anything like that. I just want us to be on the same page. Like she was going to buy a car, and I said, "Oh, okay, well, shoot, I wasn't planning on that." So, but it was necessary because we started working a different shift and then
Yeah,
a different company. Okay, so now I'm thinking, all right, car, but I want the best safety features possible to protect you. So this car doesn't have it. This car
mhm,
does. So I'm thinking ahead in case you get hit on the side by somebody. I want the best steel, the best car, the best GPS stuff just for her protection. My car won't have all that, but I want to make sure she does because I'm thinking about her future. I don't want her to get taken out in a car accident. And I
yeah,
always remind her, be careful outside. It's when you drive, it's snowy, it's icy. And she says, well, I know how to drive. I said, I know you do, but be careful. And other people might not be careful. So you be careful and watch
exactly.
out for them
Yeah,
too, because I
yeah.
want you to be around a long time. And, but yeah, that is true. And they can't help it.
No,
They're
no, I don't
limited
think they can help it.
opportunities.
Yeah, I know. I just recently got a car myself recently, and I was looking at all of these things like, what's the best kind of car for me right now? What's going to help us for our future? Fitting more for a family and doing all these things, and all I'm hearing is my wife say, "Oh, that's nice."
Mhm.
It's like, okay, all right. So I'd be like, I think this is going to fit us really well, and she's like, okay,
Well, and the Filipina might not even have big dreams. She may feel like, well, I'd like to
yeah,
live here the rest of my life.
yeah, and that's the only
My big
dream she
dream is
wants
to be
to
around
talk.
my family. That's my
Yeah,
big dream.
be
Be
with
around
me.
my family. That's my
Yeah.
future plans.
Mhm.
Okay. You want to know that. And you said,
Yeah,
no,
it's just a pretty simple,
yeah.
it's like a pretty simple feature,
Mhm.
just have easy feature. I just want to be with you and I want to be here with you, and that's all it is. And I'm
And then
like,
you're thinking,
good.
well, what happens if
Yeah,
you get a disease, or you get hit by a car, or a
I know.
scooter, or bit by a rabid dog or something? Um, I don't know. You always worry about your wife. Always. I don't even sleep well until she gets home
Mm,
from work. I just can't, because I'm thinking, should I turn my phone off, or is that the time she's going to have an accident or get mugged or something like that?
mm.
Um, it's always on your mind. I think that's a good thing. You never stop thinking about her because she's important.
Yeah, no, she's always on my mind too. All right, on to the next topic. They are more feminine than most Western women. This is probably a debatable topic, and it's probably something that we'll probably get a little bit of attention for. But I have met some feminine women here in America, here in America, but the majority of them are pretty masculine, and it feels like men kind of here have to have more competition with women. Women feel entitled; they have this sense of entitlement, and it really makes me, you know, it, you feel devalued. And I think a lot of men are feeling more feminine here in America, and a lot of women here in America are feeling more masculine. Like the tables have turned on every one of us. What do you think, Bob?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for the 5 people here. And
Hmm.
again, if you have a question and you want to talk about that, go ahead and drop that in there. As far as femininity, I had the thought, what to you is feminine? I mean, maybe it's something. Is it the way they dress? Is it no tattoos? Is it they don't go to the gym, or they don't swear, or they don't smoke, or they don't drink, or um, I guess but I agree with you. I think they are more, and that comes from the fact that it's hard to explain. But I thought my wife was feminine because she was just as simple, dressed modestly, took care of herself. Now that's different than someone that's, I don't know, like a TikTok, wants to be a TikTok celebrity, and uh,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to explain
yeah,
because you can be same size as my wife and not look feminine. I suppose it depends on what you do with
yeah.
your hair. I was at the gym one time years and years ago, and the guy pointed. He said, "You see that woman over there?" I said, "Yeah," and he said, "She wants to be a man." This was before I even knew any of this stuff, decades ago, and she had muscles and this really short hair. Probably what you would call lesbian back in the day
Mm,
before I even knew the term existed. And you see women like that once in a while in the gym, and they're hauling around a lot of weight. And my wife just started at the gym, and I said, "Hon, don't worry about gaining too much bulk. That's not going to happen unless you start taking testosterone, like some of them might be. You're not going to get bulky. It's good for you, good muscle, and it actually raises your metabolism." But there are some women that take it to a high degree. It's like they've given up on femininity.
yeah,
Just looking. Guys, what do you think? What do you think femininity means? I thought my
exactly.
wife was feminine.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
looked like she liked being a woman with long black hair, and she had a nice body. So those are physical things that you see that are feminine and obvious, but there are feminine attitudes too.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
example, liking children is a feminine attitude.
yeah. One like.
Helping others,
Mhm.
being
Yeah,
generous.
we're gonna talk more about that, and I still have my talking points. So we're gonna talk about that. Um, I just recently looked at an American magazine, and it was like these men. Oh no, it wasn't. It was actually it was yeah, it was a magazine, but I also seen it on Instagram too, a similar one on Instagram, and it was this person like taking all these different shots of all of these different women, and like they were more stockier than I was. And I was just like, they have
You said
muscles on top of
Instagram?
muscles for women, huh?
Did you say Instagram?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. On
a
Instagram
lot of
too.
those are photoshopped.
No, no, no. These were not photoshopped.
Okay.
Yeah, these were not photoshopped. Some of them look closer to feminine, and some of them look beyond feminine. But
Too many
yeah,
steroids.
yeah. Like Wow. That woman could beat me up. So, but
Yeah, well, but see, there you go. That's
yeah,
I'm the man. I'm supposed to be the protector. I'm not looking for a
exactly.
woman
Yeah.
to fend off,
But we have these
attack her.
women, yeah, but we have these women in today's culture that, especially here in America, that feel, that they don't need a man, and then we have women at Walmart that, they don't dress feminine. They dress more like a man, or they will dress more like they don't care what men think of them. If they dress at all, some of them just will walk in Walmart with their PJs on and everything. But the one different thing here is like 3A, what I'm talking about right now. Women in the Philippines often dress up. That's a different topic, that I think, my wife, she, every time we went out, she wanted to dress up. She wanted to look nice. I think it's also because they have a competition mentality in the Philippines. They have to feel that way, and they wound up looking at other women. They're like, "Oh, that woman's beautiful," and then they feel devalued in their life. They do have some sense of insecurities, I guess, in their life, but it kind of helps them be more feminine. What do you think?
There's, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that as long as it doesn't become a materialistic
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
emulate somebody else, their clothes or their designer bags and stuff like that. And a Filipina will want, if she's in the West, she's probably going to want a designer watch or shoes or purse or something. Just not to be egotistical, but just to say, look, here I am, there I was, and you just kind of have to experience it. It's there's nothing wrong with it. You would probably do the same thing if you came from the same background. You just want to say, look, things are better now, and this is just a tangible indication of it. But one of the things about femininity is a woman who feels like you said doesn't need a man. Well, I mean, people have always said on my channel, women don't need men.
Mm.
Men need women. Women don't even love men. Men love women. And man was created first, and Eve was woman. Eve was created for man.
But that
Yeah,
feels different when you go over to Philippines because they feel like they need you. It does.
well,
They
people make that
they kind of
impression.
have a dependency.
Man will like that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
want to feel
Yeah.
needed. I don't want to feel like, well, what are you, my friend?
Hmm.
Our bond is going to be one of, I hope, where we feel a need and a service to each other.
Exactly.
We need her for certain things that she probably doesn't need me for.
Mm.
And that's why God made us different and or complementary, not
Yeah. That's a
competitive.
good word. I didn't think about that. Complementary. We complement each other in different
The
ways.
more you think about it,
Hmm.
emotionally too, not just physically, but emotionally, where my wife many times is stronger than I am emotionally, because I just fire off, um, I come out with both fists swinging, and she's had to many times remind me when I'm talking to those Filipinas on customer service to not yell and not
Mm.
get too frustrated. And then, look, I have to realize those people don't see everything, and they're not supposed to. That's why they can't help me because they're not shown what they need to show to actually answer my question, and it gets
Oh.
very frustrating. It's not their fault. They're only given so much access. It's like the frequently asked questions that never answer any of my questions. All customer service is like, well, how can you can't answer the question? Well, because they can't. They just can't. They don't have access.
That's
So it gets
true.
frustrated. And a lot of them, most of them, almost all of them are Filipinas,
Mm.
it
That's,
seems. And so
yeah.
I got to be careful with what I say because I'm talking to her people, woman from her country. And yeah, that's a weakness I have. I
Mm.
want results. I want them yesterday. And I hope I can outgrow that before I die. But, she can help me.
Mm.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seemed like it, but she has. And appearance, yeah, I want my wife to look good. I don't want her to
Yeah.
look like a slob. She doesn't
Yeah.
want me to look like a slob.
Yeah. They care. Yeah. They care about their
Your
appearance.
appearance too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing I noticed about my wife. She does care about my appearance too. You know. Yeah, she doesn't like getting zits or anything. I know it's hot in the Philippines, and I'm okay with it. And she doesn't, and she does care. Like every single time I try to post a picture of her, she's like, "I look nerd," and I'm like, "I like you looking nerd. I like you looking nerdy." But she, huh?
That's good.
I know, and I'm like, I'm perfectly okay with it. I desire you that way. But she's like, I'm so nerd looking. I'm like, you wear big glasses. It's just, you're gonna look nerd no matter what. You were born nerd, but I still love her. I still love the way she
I
looks.
know a guy looking for a Filipina. That's exactly what he wants.
Oh, they want a
So he-
Filipina nerd.
Yeah, so he told me. I like
Yeah,
that look. He said, I like that look. Okay, that's fine. Go
exactly.
look for one then. Doesn't mean she has to be like that, but that's what he thinks that's cool. So it's fine.
Hmm. It's all good. They they wear makeup.
Are
Does
you
your wife
sure
wear
about that
makeup?
one? No.
Huh?
Well, I take that back.
Probably light makeup.
Yeah. My first thought was men don't like that,
Mm.
but my wife doesn't overdo it. But to be honest, even seeing lipstick, it's like, why do you need to have lipstick on?
Well, I think that's just our.
I'm not a
I
woman.
think that's
I
our
don't.
mentality here, though. They want to. This is something like they. This is something I noticed from my wife. They do often wear a little bit of makeup, because they want to put on this representation. I know the moment my wife, and I would say this for every single woman, you know, typically when you get married, you do put on a lot, but that was not only the case for my wife. She wound up putting not a whole bunch of makeup on, but often when we did go out, that she did put on a stable amount of makeup. Not that I would notice, but she wanted to be noticed. She wanted to feel more attractive and stuff, especially being with me, because she kind of has to live up that standard, that she's what's an American too.
It's interesting what she might think looks attractive.
Mm-hmm.
A man might say,
Yeah.
"Fakey, you don't need that.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to tell her you don't need that, but
Simple,
that's my
natural,
Western mentality.
simple, natural beauty. I
Hmm.
want to see who you are, what your
Yeah.
skin is like. Don't cover it all up.
Yeah.
Don't go to bed at night and you look like a different person."
Does your wife look at like any beauty pageants or anything, or like Miss Worlds or Universes?
No, we've
Oh,
watched
okay.
Philip
Oh,
when Philippines was a competitor. We
yeah.
watched some of those, but no, I don't think
Okay.
she looks at the magazine. She might
Oh,
look
okay.
at something on, you know,
Well, when
Facebook
I'm on
or
the TV or
whatever.
anything, I didn't know she did that kind of stuff because that's really big in the Philippines. A lot of them, they look at these attractive women. They look at the news channels. They have this set of standard that they really want to, you know, that they view that's attractive. This is something I noticed about from my wife, and something I questioned about after watching the video. They would pinch their children's nose, and it was something that they did, and it would like they would often squeeze it close because they would hope that the child's nose wouldn't be flat and big and stuff like the traditional Filipino nose would be. So they would try to pinch their kid's nose and hoping that they would be more
Oh,
desirable.
brother.
Yeah, but that's just something that they do there, and because because they view small noses as desirable.
Very,
So
very good, Warren.
mhm.
I like that. Born Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the things, since you brought it up, is a lot of guys like me
Hmm.
have always been attracted to dark skin.
Mm. Yeah,
Beautiful, just luxurious
think
dark
about that.
brown skin. Does a Filipina want that? Possibly not,
No, they want the
because I don't
opposite.
want to look like I've been a slave in the rice fields.
Mm.
I have to work outside. I want to have light skin, which indicates I work indoors, not outdoors in the sun. And so that's just an impression to me. I would say, of course, who cares? We want beautiful dark skin. The darker, the better. But again, that's one of the differences. They just may not feel that way. I always encourage. I wish my wife would get darker, but I'm actually darker than she is in the summer.
Yeah.
if I use
I
suntan lotion.
I actually had a very similar experience with my wife, and I was telling her here in America we value darker skin. That's very opposite, that over there they value lighter skin because. And when I talked to my wife about that, they have this mentality. They look at a lot of Korean television,
Yeah.
and a lot of the Koreans, they have lighter skin, and lighter and fairer skin is actually important to them. They would actually walk around with I don't know if you've seen this, Bob, but they walk around with umbrellas in the daytime because so they don't get burnt.
Oh, I see.
They, yeah, so they don't they don't look darker. And that was just something I noticed about that situation. Now I started getting darker when I was in the Philippines.
Mhm.
I didn't that was and I started getting spots all over my face. That was kind of interesting, but there was yeah, but their sun's more scorching over there. That was kind of a big deal. But I did adjust. I didn't burn as much, but and I was about as dark as my wife was. But she definitely carried that umbrella around with her to make sure she wanted because they have that value of being more fair skinned. They even have like a
Yeah. Oh, brother. How
bleaching
about that?
surgery thing to
Ooh.
yeah, I guess a bleaching skin treatment thing that they do in the Philippines to make them more lighter colored.
Oh,
But I don't agree with that. So
no, I don't either. The dark
yeah,
skin is just
yeah, yeah,
undescribably.
yeah. They just don't embrace it. They don't embrace their culture, embrace being darker. So
We want the island girl, the girl that's
yeah,
outside.
that's why we
It
went there. We
actually
want the
looks
island
rough.
girl.
It doesn't have to
Yeah,
do anything.
yeah, we want that
Totally.
Pacific Islander. So yeah. All right. Topic number 4. They're more adaptable, and simple, facing day-to-day challenges.
No doubt about that, Paul.
Yeah, yeah,
You'll find out your wife won't complain as much as you probably will, and
yeah.
at least and my wife just fixes stuff. She's not really a complainer, and
Okay.
she has to be resourceful. When
Yeah.
Filipinos are living in all parts of the world, they have to be resourceful, adaptable,
Yeah,
and
I didn't think of
for the
that word
most part, they
resourceful.
are.
It's good. Yeah. That's really good. Yeah. So the first part of that is Filipinos grew up often without modern day appliances, like in the West. What do you think about that one? Did your wife have a microwave in the Philippines, or did she
Uh, I
have?
don't I don't know about microwave. I just know that
Okay.
when she got here, she didn't want to use the dishwasher.
Mm,
I said, "Huh, we
okay.
can go to put the dishes in the dishwasher." She'd still wash it by hand
Mm.
because she probably wasn't used to the dishwasher,
Yeah,
or
they want to have a dirty kitchen
she thought
too.
she could get it cleaner by hand. And whether that's true, I don't know. I like the heat from the dishwasher to sterilize. But to us, if we can avoid washing my hand and throw it in the dishwasher, we probably do that. And then there's clothes washer and dryer they probably aren't quite used to. And, we don't hang stuff outside because especially when it's cold half the time. And so those are good things. So these appliances are nice things. She's going to appreciate nice cookware that she doesn't have. Could be nice knives, cutlery, pots and pans, and crock pots. She's going to like those conveniences when she gets a chance to see them.
Mm. I know for me, my wife's never used a microwave. They don't have a stable fridge. They have like mini fridges. They don't have a big giant fridge. She's never used an oven. And I actually watched a video of her. I think she has that on our TikTok and I think even on our Facebook. But she actually, instead of using a can opener, she's cutting it open with a knife.
Oh
And
yeah,
she,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
they do.
yeah, that's very different how they do things there. But I think it's versatile. It's not just. But we take it for granted. This is what our topic here is, that we take our modern day appliances for granted compared to them, and that they're so versatile about what they're able to do and what they're able to accomplish with so little.
But also, Paul, those can openers, I've seen videos in the Philippines that say they just don't last.
Yeah, that's
If you
true.
buy a can opener, buy 3 or 4.
I bought this one kind of can opener, and I've had to show my mom how to use it. You ever seen those can openers that I guess that take off the top instead of cutting through the top? Oh, okay. I actually have one downstairs, but yeah, that it cuts around the grooves in like that, and basically you can take off the. the complete rid of it, and
Interesting.
put it back on.
I don't even use
It's
can
really
opener.
nice. I think those things, and that things last me a long time,
Okay.
yeah, and it's safer. I don't have to worry about cutting myself too. My mom bought a more traditional can opener, and I didn't enjoy it. When I was younger, we even had an automatic can opener that
Yeah.
you set on there. Remember those
Oh,
and
sure.
stuff? Yeah, but those things always had problems staying on.
Yeah, you're better off to go around like that. That's
Yeah,
true. I remember those
yeah,
days,
exactly. It's topic B. They can be very adaptable to change.
of course.
Yeah. So for me, I haven't really embraced this about my wife, but she seemed to be more adaptable. When we were traveling around the Philippines, she doesn't currently live here yet, but when she was able to, when I was able to take her traveling around, she was pretty adaptable to going to different places with me and doing new things. She wasn't used to using I guess other people washing her clothes. She felt a little discomfortable with other people washing her clothes, but we got used to it. We wound up finding even someone cheap enough that would actually wash her clothes while we were away in her hometown. And I know when we traveled out of her town, we want to be more expensive. Probably the most we've ever we ex- and I didn't expect to be most expensive. Expensive. I almost paid nearly $40 for somebody in a resort to wash our clothes. I know. Yeah, it was like 2,000 pesos, and it was and they
But
wanted to steam it and fold it, and they wanted to iron it, and I was like, I don't want you to do that to my underwear. And I even told them, and they were like, that's priority for us to do all that, and I'm like, I wound up paying it, but it was not something I enjoyed to do. But compared to only paying a few pesos here and there, or like 80 pesos for somebody just to do my laundry. So
well, the word adaptable there, I look at that, and a big change is moving to the West. And of course, a lot of people
yeah,
have
and that's
said,
what someone looking forward
don't ever bring her to the West. But you know what? If she's in it for the right reasons, an ordinary marriage, yeah, you better believe it. She can adapt to the United States. My wife has adapted to the United States like she's been here her whole life.
to. Wow.
She's working, she's driving, she's going to school, trying to get that schedule somehow worked out so she can finish it and get her associate's degree. That's a lot of work. There's a lot of effort. She cuts the grass. She knows how to use the snow blower. She put them together. The lawnmower, put it together out of the box. She does all the mechanical stuff. She's just amazing. And I need
That's
someone.
awesome.
I need someone. I told her, she said, why didn't you buy a house? You could have one paid off by now. I said, because I don't want a house. I just want a place to hang my coat or my hat and sleep there and work the rest of the time pretty much and go to the gym. And I just didn't want to deal with it. But
Mm.
she talked us into this townhouse. My mother lives upstairs. Um, but if something breaks down, garage door won't open or whatever, Isaac can fix that.
Mm.
She's really good at that.
That's,
It's a
that's really
talent
good.
I think she has, but it's a talent I need because I am not a home house person. Some people, those people that their yard has to be immaculate. I
With the
mean,
lines.
or the living room, they don't even let anybody go in there. And they're
Yeah.
so into their house or their yard. I'm just not. I'd rather watch
Yeah.
a good game on TV or something and call it a day. 6 people online here for this live stream. So thank you very much. That's
Yeah.
Paul.
Thank
I'm
you.
Bob. Paul is
Thank you.
doing this simulcast on both of our channels. So, check in with a question or comment if you'd like. Talking about Filipinas and what they're like, why men like them, and why men would go to all the way other side of the world for a wife. And adaptable to change, yeah, my wife can adapt, but she wanted to come here. If she had said she doesn't want to relocate, take that seriously. She doesn't want to move. And so you're either going to have to go there or she got to find someone that's willing to leave. And most of them may leave, even though they don't want to. They really
Mm.
prefer to stay there if they could. But if they can't, we had, believe it or not, when we got married, when we were living in an apartment nearby, I had no idea that the couple right above me was a Filipina and American foreign wife. He was about, I don't know, 40. He got a job in Alaska. So they moved to Alaska. And I was talking to her about the cold. Are you going to be concerned about the cold? She said, "Oh no, I like the cold weather now."
Oh, they like it now?
She did. She said, "I like the cold weather now." So they
That's
moved to,
something I'm
moved
worried
to
at,
Alaska.
yeah, I'm so worried about, yeah, and I know there's Filipinos in Alaska. I was just kind of wondering about that myself. I was like, I don't, there's very few videos about whether or not Filipinos adjust to the cold, but I know there's a lot of them in Chicago, so I assume a lot of them in New York and other parts of the United States. You know, it's like one of the biggest populations that we have here, and it's just something I'm just trying to understand myself. But so I think they are adaptable to the cold. I just have never actually seen them, actually personally take the steps into actually adjusting to the
Oh,
cold.
yeah, they'll get used to it. Look,
Okay.
look at my computer. It's 2 degrees. In a couple days, the high is going to be -6. We've got near blizzard condition out there, and but they'll react. I mean, they just put on more clothes.
Okay.
It gives a woman a chance to get some fashionable winter clothes, get a nice hat. I told the other day my wife had this hat. She had a nice scarf, a nice long coat, and pants. And I said, "Hon, if you get a job interview in another place, you got to wear this because you look dynamite."
You look great. That's awesome.
Dynamite. I was so impressed with how she looked.
Mm.
And so for the weather, you just put on boots, warmer clothes, mittens, cap, whatever, and you just do like the rest of us do. Over here, though, if you're used to it, I'll go to the gym and it might be 30 degrees out, and older guys are even walking around in shorts.
Mm.
Because here in the Midwest, it's cold weather. This is what we do. It's no big deal. Um, she may not get to that level, but she will adapt to it.
I gotcha. That's
She,
good.
although Paul, I have heard of one woman,
What?
Filipina, that said, "I cannot get used to this cold weather," and they
Mm.
they left.
Oh, they did.
Didn't
Okay.
leave her husband. They just went back to the Philippines because they said, I just can't deal with this cold weather. I
Oh,
only
okay.
heard that one time. But if her
Oh,
husband is there and they're working, they're getting out there together, driving around, she'll adapt to it.
yeah.
We,
Yeah, and yeah, as long as your significant other is willing to adapt to you, willing to adapt to your culture a little bit. I mean, there, you can't take the Filipina out of the Philippines. I mean, just in the general sense, but but they will adjust, just like we would adjust there. I was watching Cody Bennett, and his YouTube channel when he went over there, and that one of his is We Wander, and that was just one thing that I noticed. That the moment he got to the Philippines, that he didn't realize it, but he was not only getting sunburnt, but he wound up getting sun poisoning.
ooh,
Yeah, and I'd never heard of sun poisoning, but he eventually, as he was progressing, because he was like in the Philippines all during the time of COVID, and he wound up getting stuck there for a while, and he wound up going back to the Philippines, and he had a woman there and everything he was hanging out with and everything. I wouldn't say he was Christian, but they were traveling throughout, and I was kind of understanding a little bit about the culture, watching him and stuff. But I noticed that his skin was adjusting to that particular type of climate. And that's just something that I think we face, regardless, is that over time we will adjust to those things. And that was something that I noticed, that there are Filipinos here that eventually do adjust. And I know they do. A lot of them like to live in California or in Texas or in Florida because that's the tropical climate that they're used to.
hmm
Hmm.
yeah,
But
just bad place to live, I think.
yeah, I know it's not the greatest places to live,
I guess
but
we
yeah,
shouldn't talk politics, but I know somebody in California, they want to get out.
yeah. uh, so they like to show contentment with the things that they have. The things that they have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my wife, like that's
yeah,
a good point.
yeah,
In other words, they're not high maintenance.
yeah,
They could
yeah,
always change under the wrong influence, the
yeah,
wrong female friends.
yeah,
But I think by and large, she won't get carried away. She's going to want newer outfits and wardrobe and fashionable shoes or shirts or whatever. That's okay. She's a woman. Okay,
yeah,
she deserves that.
yeah.
Um, but my wife, I did a video on sentimental things. She still has the coat that she wore on January 11th, 2016, when I picked her up at the airport.
Oh wow, she still has that.
And she still has some shirts that she wore. Now, some of them are getting kind of worn out, but to me, I still like that, or a little nightgown or something, or a little robe. And it's like, wow, I mean, yeah, keep wearing it as long as we can. Now we do the same thing. We've got towels with holes in it. It's like, maybe we should get some new towels, but I'm not in any big hurry. As long as they do the job, I'm not in any big hurry. We'll just use them as long as we can.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So number five, they are very respectful. They grew up respecting their elders and responding and bless. Do you know bless? Do you know mono?
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit
It's
too.
kind of confusing. You put your hand up there, then I don't know if they're supposed to do it with me or I'm supposed to do it with them, and you end up doing this silly
I can
stuff.
explain it a little bit. I wound up doing it accidentally to someone younger than me, but
Oh,
yeah, but
They're-
so yeah, we're gonna get to that topic here in a second. Women in the Philippines are courteous, nice, and respectful. So they often yeah depending on which ones you get, but I mean in general sense they will be respectful. I didn't feel any disrespect even with just Filipinos there. I felt pretty welcomed actually. Would you feel the same way when you felt there? What
yeah,
did you
well,
feel like when you felt their family and stuff?
they don't want to make you feel unwelcome. I mean, for one
Okay.
reason, you're going to be a family member, and let's face it, you might be able to help them financially someday, which I think is a good idea if you can. But in general, it doesn't matter where you go. You walk around the neighborhood and you'll see smiling people, and um, people are. That's the way I've thought. If they have any ulterior motives, I don't know, but generally, yeah, they're cheerful, and the people that you can see having as neighborhood neighbors. My wife is always reminding me if I'm disrespectful to others, which apparently I do, on the phone and stuff like that. And she has to remind me not to be so competitive. And it's not like we're winning a competition here, but if I want to settle something, I want to talk to somebody that can help me get it settled. And I'm sure I am disrespectful,
Mm.
but with her reminding me, at least it's like, okay, we have a chance to get better.
I agree. I know in the Philippines, that's one thing I got a lot of respect for a lot of Filipinos there. Some of them wanted to say hi to me. So they wanted to take pictures with me. They were courteous. They use mom and sir every single time. They're like, "Excuse me, sir." That was one thing that I noticed when I went over there. Huh? I'm sorry.
Well, my wife, when she started working, called men sir.
Oh yeah.
And the manager told me, he said, I can't remember the last time anybody ever called me sir.
Yeah, and that
Because
was
they
it was
don't
so
talk like
different.
that in America.
Yeah. Everywhere I went, there was like, they're like, "Excuse me, mom." They don't say ma'am, they say mom because they use the instead of a compared to
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of instead of saying
That
bank, they'll say
confuses
bonk.
me.
Yeah, and that's something we're gonna learn about later. But that was something I had to get used to. You know, they wouldn't say sir, they would actually say sir. I can't even say it. How do they say sir, sir, sir? It's
Huh.
more of a simple way of saying it, sir, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, they want to say it that way. But yeah, it was really nice there, and I didn't feel any disrespect. I felt really courteous. They were really helpful. They fed me. They were super courteous no matter what they did around. And even when they were somewhat angry with their family, they never spoke up against me, like, well, around me. They might talk to my wife about it, but they wouldn't talk to me about it.
Yeah, they don't want to
Yeah,
drag you
yeah,
into
they didn't want to
anything.
drag me into any of it, so they kind of left it pretty private. That was kind of one thing. And next one is mono. They respect their elders, and that was, yeah. It's literally, and it's kind of hard to explain a little bit without showing you. I would have to bring my son in here, but the fact is that if there's someone older than you, here, let me just switch over here. So if there's someone older than you, you would grab their hand and you would stick it to your forehead, and it's a show of sign of respect. And it's called, they would call it mono, or they would call it bless.
Mhm.
And And basically every single time there's someone older than you, that's what you do. You don't do it to random people, but it's somebody that you recognize, that you addressed as somebody particularly part of the family. It wouldn't be someone that you would just randomly, like your waiter or your waitress that were older than you, but if it was somebody that you're actually cordially meeting, like your pastor, her pastor, and stuff like that, family members, older people around you, you would see kids walking up and stuff like that. And every single time they came home, they would do it. I have a few videos of the kids doing it to me. They would grab my hand. It was kind of different, very different, that they would grab my hand and put it on their forehead, but it's a sign that they would show me a sign of respect.
So when you did that to that 10-year-old, you got a lot of sneers probably.
Well, it wasn't a 10-year-old. It was a teen. It was Joanna's cousin. She was younger than me, and it wasn't a sneer. It was laughing, but because I was doing it. It was when we went to Consuelo, and basically and I was already doing it to enough elders. And then suddenly I got mixed up. She came up to me and I took her hand. I put it to my head. And it was just funny. But I didn't get sneers or anything. I didn't get any disrespect about it. It was just something to laugh about. And my wife corrected me about it. But it was just funny. and then we corrected doing it the correct way. But it was just something I was trying to do. And she was like, she was laughing in the video, and she's like, only for the elderly. You need to do it for them. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. But
yeah. Let's see if we can finish these here, and because people probably want to get going with their evening,
their day. Okay.
Questions maybe.
Okay. All right. Hold on, how about we just talk about the main talking points? We'll just kind of go through.
We can go through. That's true. Avoiding confrontation, very true.
Yeah.
But for communication's sake, when you're married, you've got to talk about those things.
Okay. Yeah. They try to avoid confrontation. A lot of or more subtle compared to Western women here. Yeah.
But if you notice something is bothering them, you should talk about it.
Exactly. So I agree.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're at peace with you. They agree with everything you're doing.
Yeah, I agree.
Read their body language, their tone of voice.
Yeah.
See if maybe they're unhappy, and then say, okay, what did I do? What happened?
Yeah. So we're just gonna fly through these topics. I know people probably gotta get going, but they often take care of themselves better. They're slimmer. Women here in America, they are often not. I don't want to get too disrespectful, but they're not proportional to their body anymore. So they're not height weight proportional to their body anymore. That's just kind of,
and if you look at the thumbnails,
a lot of women here are no longer taking care of themselves.
If you look at the thumbnails on a lot of YouTube channels, they put the elite women in there. No, that's not realistic either.
Yeah,
you could even say the woman you want to marry isn't going to be walking around in a bikini like that. And that would be true.
Yeah,
that's a topic for another day.
Yeah. So we're going to 7 real quick. They're committed in relationships. They, less chance of divorce and sometimes tampo. That they like to settle their differences pretty quickly if they can. Other than tampo, they try to settle their differences quickly. They want to avoid confrontations. They want to, they don't talk about a lot of things that might be bothering them, but regardless of that, they're fully committed into that relationship. What do you think?
Well, there's no divorce at this time in the Philippines.
In the Philippines, yeah, they're trying, but
she could leave you in America, but if she marries in the Philippines, she can't.
Exactly.
It's confusing, but she can't leave you there. But that's why I wanted to marry her in the Philippines. I guess just for that feeling that, I am making this commitment to you in your country, and there's no divorce. A lot of guys will say, "Oh, don't marry in the Philippines. You can't get divorced." Well, I don't want to get divorced. I want to be with her.
You want to be with them for life, regardless.
So we got married in the Philippines as she wanted, and I brought up the fiance visa. Just that's what people do. But she wanted to get married there, so I said, "Fine, we'll do that."
Exactly. Car just flying down my road. All right. They're nurturing and helpful. Super nurturing and helpful. I want to kind of cover these kind of points a little bit. So they're willing to rub your back. They're willing to take care of you when you're sick. They will do anything for their man. They'll cook, they'll clean, they'll take care of your house, they'll take care of your children. They, that was one thing that I have a story about my wife's sister, and we just came back, and you know, uh, we were having issues with running water. That was kind of a thing, and we had to kind of leave our dirty laundry. We at that particular time we weren't able to find somebody to help do our laundry. We did eventually find someone, but at when we came back, all my clothes were and even my underwear all hung up outside and everything.
Hmm.
And m- my wife told me that her sister sewed up my underwear.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, she sewed up my underwear, and I was kind of different. She's like, "You got to pay her," and I was just like, "Okay, yeah, I'll give her a little money, I guess, but for helping." And I was like, "That's cool," but that was very different. So, I never expected. Usually, I just buy new underwear, but it was very different. What did you have anything kind of
Well,
add
they're
to?
nurturing and helpful because they've got big families, lots of nieces and nephews,
Mm-hmm.
and so they want to help them. And again, the family bond.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're going to be involved in a family, you have to be nurturing and helpful. Otherwise, you're going to be a renegade and
Yeah.
more like we do here, where once you're, well, independent lifestyle is much more, I know, featured or desired here. When you get to be 18 years old and many kids want to be out of the house. Maybe they want to move out of the state. Um, in the Philippines, it's like they probably wouldn't necessarily do that because then what? You're leaving the family bond.
Yeah.
You're missing out on some relationships and some nurturing and some help that you've grown accustomed to. So they're not. This is why when she leaves her country to go to the West, it is a move that her husband must respect ultimately, because
Oh,
that is something he probably wouldn't do
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
same shoes.
Yeah, not in the same degree. I'm willing to eventually move there, but I don't have the financial means to even try to. But it is something I am considering. I want to, I've been telling her about that. But to move far away from her family, I have this idea of somewhere I want to move, but it would be kind of far away from her family, But whether or not we would move there, or I would actually even possibly consider having her family move where we would move. But
Oh, I see. That's
yeah,
good.
that's a
That's okay.
possibility.
Or
Yeah,
you'd have to visit somewhat
yeah,
frequently,
visit often. Yeah,
somehow
so
by car or plane, depending on what island you're on or what island they're
yeah,
on. I
yeah.
want. I would be fine if I lived in the Philippines. I would live right there where my wife's family is, if we did. Now,
I
there's
w-
some reasons we haven't, like
yeah.
medical
I
reasons.
would consider living there, or living somewhere close to there. I still want PLDT internet. I can't give up my internet, so I need good internet.
Well,
Uh,
there may be by that time.
well, they
You
have
know,
PLD.
there
Yeah,
is.
yeah. They're a lot of their internet's not the greatest, but one that they have that's a good fiber optic, that's decent. It does go out every once in a while. Is PLDT, and that's a good fiber optic. You can get average from 3 to 500 megabyte, so which is pretty decent, at least if you want to be a YouTuber or something, or if you want to do more often. So, but yeah, that's like your best bet other than Starlink from
Mhm.
Elon Musk.
Hmm.
So, which they're starting to do that in the Philippines now too.
Who knows in 10, 15 years how developed
Yeah, they
technology
are
will.
developing. I'm sure. Did you see the spaghetti telephone poles?
No.
The wire.
Oh, the wires all over the place.
Yeah, the wires everywhere.
That's got to give somewhere.
Well, they're working on fixing that. That was one thing I did notice. So, yeah, that was one thing. That's another topic later on. On the number nine, they are low maintenance. We just kind of talked about this briefly, but we're just kind of quickly brush over it again. That they're not high maintenance like here in the U.S. That they do value some designer clothes a little bit,
Oh,
but
sure.
purses or some other things because because they're here in this part of the world, they want to kind of show it off to their families a little bit. But that's not typically something that they really want to have. Even my wife, she's like, I don't want a whole lot. She's not, and I'm like, I want this, I want this, I want this, and I want, you know. I have like this, and, like it's all really cool. Anyway, but she's like, I don't want any of that. But
Well,
that's
some women want to show off, and they go
yeah,
if and hopefully the
oh,
woman you marry does not want to make other people feel smaller
yeah,
by showing off. But there's a difference between showing off and saying, now I have one of these purses, and I live in a country where people are dying to get into, and
yeah,
I did it the right way. I married a foreigner. I'm maybe a citizen, maybe I'm not a citizen yet, and there's something to be proud about.
yeah,
That's like me going maybe to the Philippines and ending up buying a nice little scooter or something and
yeah,
doing what they do and getting around the way they get around. This is mine. I feel proud about that. I'm not showing it off. I just feel
yeah. You feel
proud
you,
that I have.
you feel like you're part of it now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that would
integrating
be
is
kind
how
of
good
yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
You feel like you're part of you're part of that culture now.
But
Yeah.
maintenance, low maintenance, Paul, I think that's something people should want to look into
Hmm.
while they're dating somebody. Who are her influences? Is it
Yeah.
social media? Is it wealthy relatives? I mean, who is she trying to copy? Does she want to go to the United States to show everybody she's better than they are, or
Mm.
Canada, Great Britain, wherever? Um, see, I don't know how you necessarily gauge that, but other than just seeing how she dresses for the most part, how her important people in her life dress. Look at her Facebook. I mean, she's got an open Facebook. You can see what she really wears, what she talks like when she talks to other people, and just see how low maintenance she might be. If she's always talking about material things, well,
If
obviously
she's
she's probably
if
not
she's a
going to be
material
low.
girl, yeah. So I
But,
agree.
but like they say, biblical verse: faithful in little, faithful in much.
That's true.
Be
Yeah.
faithful and content, being low maintenance and with living within her means.
What's that
Why
Bible
would you think she's not going to do that in your country?
What's that Bible verse that Paul talks about contentment? I learned to be content in all things. In
Godliness with contentment is great gain.
yeah, well, that's one. But Paul talks about another one too. He learned to have a lot and then a little. Remember that verse?
Yeah, it's probably in
Yeah,
Philippians
I've
somewhere.
I've I've, I've learned to be faithful. Yeah, I think it's in Philippians.
Okay.
I've learned to be a uh, I have to find it.
Welcome tonight, those of you watching on this inaugural live stream simulcast with Joanne and Paul and Love Beyond the Sea. And we kind of have a kindred spirit here to help men who, like us, we're struggling being alone and found a wife in the Philippines. And so we want to talk about this to people, honest relationships, and give you the truth. Everybody says that. I'll tell you the truth. Well, I don't know if I always believe that, but I've been married to my wife for 8 years and 7 months. Paul is married. His wife is not yet here.
Yeah,
So we're at different points, but we're both married to women from the Philippines. And so we've seen enough to form some opinions and observations about the country and
exactly.
option of finding a good woman there. And so we just want to
Yeah,
talk
we just
about
want to we just want to we just want to help you guys through that kind of perspective, and we want to kind of give you guys our particular perspective about helping finding the right kind of woman that's right for you in your life, you know. But yeah, Philippians 4:12 through 13, you know, and I read King James. I know both how to be abased and know how to abound. And in in everywhere in all things I instructed both to be in full and to be hungry, both abound and to suffer in need. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Amen. So, but that one.
Mondo Shawan 215. I'm sorry to hear that. Obviously, we're talking about a woman that
Yeah.
would not be doing those type of things, and I hope that things can be better if you can identify the root problems of what's going on there.
Yeah.
Nobody marries somebody. We got 8 people now, which is 7 o'clock crowd is joining in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, we're
nobody
getting ready to start a Q&A here in a minute.
nobody marries to have their
Yeah.
life destroyed or even frustrated a lot, but you try to
Yeah.
look at the you try to look for these type of things that we're talking about today, and then you keep your eyes open for the red flags.
Yeah, yeah, you always want to keep your eyes open for those things, you know. We can really get, blinders on when we're looking for the right kind of woman. It's really easy just to fall in love and say this is the right kind of girl. I was watching a few videos in the Philippines of, of like some of these guys, and like the way that this woman is treating like her husband. He's an older gentleman, he's marrying a younger woman, she's using him for all this kind of money in these situations, and he's giving so much money to this family, and no matter what, he's got these blinders eyes. He's like, I love her. And I'm like, man, what's wrong with you? You can't see that she's using you for her own gain and her own glory.
He may not want to see it.
I know, yeah, and it's difficult, but we want you to, no matter what, we want you to, if you are married to them, we want you to try to stick it out with them and try to turn them around if you can. But if not, and if they're being unfaithful, there's Bible verses against that. But the fact is that we want to see you, and we want everyone to find the right kind of person that is out there for them. I believe I found the right kind of person because of her faith based. I think if you are truly looking for the right kind of woman, you need her to be faith based. You need her to be a Christian. I've just watched several videos on like the Filipina P even recently, and her interviewing several gentlemen about finding the right kind of woman, for them, and many said the best places to find a woman are in church in the Philippines. You know, these are guys that live in the Philippines. These are guys that are currently stationed there, who have retired there, and the majority of them said if you didn't find them out in the public, don't find them in the bar, but don't find the bar girls, find the Filipinas in hardworking environments and work, find them in church, find them doing community efforts and outreaches and missionaries, you know, do those things, and you're gonna be better off finding a woman who's willing to work with you. That's my thing, I had a friend of mine, and he asked me this: you need to find a woman that's teachable.
Mm.
You need to find a woman that's teachable. If she's not teachable, then you're not you're not going to want to be with her. She needs to learn, and both of you need to be teachable. That's another topic of it, you know. But no matter what, she needs to be able to adjust. If she's hard headed and she's stubborn or she's not willing, pride comes before the fall. We understand that in the Bible, but God resists the proud and gives grace to the humble. We need repentance, we need humility in relationships, and if they're not willing to do that with you, then she's not the right girl for you, no matter what.
Paul, I want to ask you a quick question about your number 10 point here.
Sure.
In which I can attest because my wife is like that.
Yeah.
But what if, and some women are, because I talk to a lot of guys, and they tell me about the background of their wife or their girlfriend, and they say that, well, they just can't find work. So how would one know if she's hard work, or you look at it not from an occupational?
Yeah, and that was kind of my portions. Is not just they have hardworking parents and families and spouses, so family members and spouses. It was just kind of that thing. Is how do they work? It's not always occupational. It's how they're doing these things. I have a video of my wife. Like she does laundry by hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something I had to figure out. And she laughed at me when I tried to do it. But we're washing our laundry in the sink in our Airbnb, area and stuff. She's rubbing it across her knuckles.
Mm.
And I'm like, I don't even know how you do that. I'm used to a washer, but and I'm trying to do the same thing that she's trying to do. But I know that she's a hard worker. I know that my wife, she doesn't make a whole lot of money. I won't talk about how much she makes on live, but the fact is that, she works without my support. She strives to do these things. I know she works really hard at church. She works really hard to do her Bible studies, at church. She gets her she gets her stuff straight. That's how it is. I think for me that's showing effort. I guess that would be a better way of
Yeah,
putting.
well, I appreciate you saying that because
Yeah,
originally we just think about, does she have a job? Marry someone who has a job, and that's wise advice. The thing is, though, some women it's a bit harder to find that job. And other people told me you got to have a college degree just to
that is
work
true.
at
That
a
is
mall
partially
or
true. Yeah.
Jollibee or something.
Yeah, yeah, and my wife was asking me about the same thing when she finally comes over here, and I said that's not quite the case over here. You can kind of get a practical job, not a professional job. Some professional jobs, but more so like an industry job without a college degree here.
Hmm.
So, yeah, without one. So because she's a high school student, so. But yeah, but we're just going to go over this. The willing to make effort, that was kind of like to support you. That was part of my thing here. So we're going to kind of move on our last talking point, and then we're going to go into a live Q&A. So they maintain a sunny disposition. That's not always true, but they can definitely, especially when they don't want to upset you, that they want to try to just avoid things and they want to try to make you happy regardless. You know, they want to put every effort to see you happy, and it makes them happy. What do you think?
Well, I think we talked about when she moves, take the Filipina out of the Philippines
Hmm.
and that simple life, and then she's going to have more difficulties that she's going to encounter,
That's
whether
true.
it's weather, being away from home, being with, a husband or strange people or
It's going through
people,
stress is kind of what you're saying, right? Dealing
yeah,
with daily,
people
yeah,
that speak English too fast for her to understand. There's things that bother her that you don't even comprehend because you're not
yeah,
going through the same thing over there. And
yeah.
so um, she's out of the Philippines, and now she's going to be probably maybe tested for one of the first times
True.
in this brand new environment to maintain that disposition. And it's probably going to be challenged
Mm.
for a while. I'm sure if I went, or some happy-go-lucky guy goes to the Philippines to live, and it's like, how come it takes so long to get anything done? Why am I waiting here? I could just go to the doctor, and I can't. You don't take appointments here. How am I supposed to see the doctor if you don't make an appointment? Well, the reason is you just go in there and wait. You just get in line. Here you just pick up the phone and make an appointment. Over there you get in line.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah,
things are more difficult. People tell me it takes forever to get something fixed, and
yeah,
just
I've noticed that a
whole
little bit.
different mindset. So you can go here from being happy because you're generally happy, but then you go over there and everything is harder to do, and all of a sudden you're kind of grouchy. And so she could go from being happy from a simple life to a more complicated life in the West, more challenges, and end up, hopefully she still comes out of it with a good disposition, like you said,
Yeah,
but it might be tested a little bit.
I agree. I agree. That was just something I noticed there. I haven't really think about it here. All right, we have concluded. And if for anyone, just please like and subscribe this thing, especially for the replay. I know we're kind of running a little long. For a little bit longer, we're going to do a live Q&A, and I'm going to click this here. So answer any questions and everything is. Me and Bob are available for your questions. So we're going to go to the comments, and we're going to see what we can come up with. So Warren says, "Good evening, guys. Good evening." Joanna's here to watch. My wife, she's here with us. Um, I'm going to meet. Okay. Freely Farms exploits. He says he's going to meet his Filipino lady on the 12th of March. That's really nice. Yeah. Yeah. Any pointers you want to give him? I don't know if he's currently here. If you are currently here, Freely Farm, you can put your questions below, and we'll try to look out for you. But if
He
you are
said,
currently here,
he
yeah.
said
But
below it's his first time, so that
yeah,
makes a big difference if you've never
mhm,
done it
yeah,
before.
yeah. There's a lot to cover in that about meeting her. We don't know if you're going to marry her, but if you are out there, you're trying to marry her, there's different things that we could probably, if you want to ask us personally, we can get on a Zoom call or some kind of a call with you, and we can kind of help you through what to prepare for. What do you think, Bob?
I would say I'm not sure here if his comment is regarding his first time to meeting the Filipina or the first time going to the Philippines to meet any Filipina,
Mm, yeah.
because that's a whole different different topic, and it could be both.
Yeah.
So if you're still there, freely, maybe you can let me know. If you've been to the Philippines before, um, you want to make sure that you're sure that she's going to meet you there. So you got to make sure that your relationship is strong enough, the communication is strong enough that you don't go there and don't see her. I heard a guy the other couple of weeks ago said that happened to him twice, two different times, two different women in the Philippines.
Oh, really?
Maybe they're there lurking in the background and say, no, 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 cold feet, not interested.
Oh,
Or maybe they just never intended to go to the airport. But you
yeah.
don't want to go thousands of miles away and spend money to have somebody, stiff you and not show up.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta be a little diligent about that. And I didn't have that problem. I was pretty confident that my wife was going to show up. I was afraid that she might thought that maybe I wouldn't show up. But
Oh, really?
yeah. So, but I did, and we worked through that. And I was that was my one focus was to meet her. That was it. Yeah. So
Well, you see some videos where
yeah.
people meet. Do you ever watch those videos where people meet for the first time in the
Yeah.
Philippines?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
always like wonderful, like the guy is all
That's me too. We put ours up there too.
fresh and showered and smells nice, and his back isn't killing him from the long sleepless flight. And it's
Oh man.
like, man, I'm not sure I would have looked like that.
I
I
I
would have
know.
walked in there like this,
Like, oh,
and
back.
I've been sitting here the
Riding
flight,
coach. Yeah.
14 and a half hour flight to get from Los Angeles to Manila. And
Yeah.
that was one of four flights to actually go to where she lives.
Mm.
Had to go to the embassy first. And somebody did have a question about the embassy. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, we'll get there.
if it's a
We're just
meeting for the
gonna go
first
through it real
time,
quick.
if
We're
you're
gonna get to you.
tired or exhausted, you just let her know. I'm sure she can understand when you're that far away, and you show her your itinerary and how long it's going to take to get there. And
Oh yeah.
it's okay. It's okay to be tired. Now, the more you do it, I've been there 5 times. It's easier to do
Okay.
because you just understand. I'm
Yeah.
not going to complain. It's going to be a long trip. You look at the people on those long flights, they're just sleeping.
Yeah.
They're hunkering down. There's nothing else they can do. Find a good action movie or two or three and doze off and read a book or something.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a long, long trip for many of us.
Yeah, I felt that too. Me and my son had to keep getting up too, because we just had to stretch. It was just like it was difficult to sit there all day, sit there for hours upon hours. I remember that.
I
So Warren
stood
says
a lot of the time. When I went for the first time, I stood a lot of the time because my back was killing me. I never thought to bring pain pills. And I never sat that long in my life. And I spent a lot of the time standing up there. I was
oh
miserable.
really?
And my back was hurting when I proposed to my wife.
Oh really?
Gave her the ring because my back was killing me. I said, let's. She said, well, go in here. We're in her sister's house. Go in here and lie down. And she got some oil and was put on my back. And at the time, I had not proposed to her, and I was going to. I just didn't know how. And I thought, okay, this is it. So before we left, I said, hon, by what you just did to me in there, that shows me the type of person you are,
Exactly.
the person I want to live the rest of my life with. So I proposed to her. Perfect, quirky example for us. Nothing ornate, flowery, set up ahead of time. I had no idea. But that made me think, you know what? If I'm marrying someone like that, I'm glad to propose to you.
Exactly.
That's
That's good.
so good thing I had a sore back, I guess.
Good thing you had sore back. Yeah. So
Hindsight.
Warren said it was my first time last November. It was really a piece of cake, and I rarely travel out of my country. He said,
Wow.
yeah, I know.
That way for everybody. That's
I
great.
know it's not for everyone, but it's good, man. Uh, I've traveled plenty, but I'm amazed at the speed that things developed. Interesting. Okay. I'm not sure what he means by that, but I'm trying to figure that out. It was a good meeting.
The
I guess maybe earlier he said it was good meeting with your fiance on YouTube. How did you do that? Those comments. That was a good going meeting your fiance on YouTube. Oh, okay. Yeah. Uh,
to
So yeah,
the
yeah. My fiance, yeah. So she was able to come on here a little bit. I did notice that she was currently in the in the comment section. So that's good. That's good. She's kind of probably helping people out. Okay, I understand. All right. So Warren said, "Will my fiance be able to enter the U.S. Embassy in Manila when I get my free to marry affidavit notarized?" uh, will my fiance be able to enter the U.S. Embassy in Manila?
Okay, is he if he's talking about physically enter the building, I
I
think the
think,
answer is yes, but she can't go up with him to that floor.
yeah, yeah. She can't go up with him. Uh, so yeah. Well, first off, it's not an affidavit anymore. It's just called legal capacity of contract marriage. That's what it's called. Uh, they were able to get affidavits temporarily. They call them affidavits because they were temporarily closing the embassy and the consulate and allowing lawyers or other notarizational places to do it. So, but then they reopened up the embassy and the consulate for them to do it officially back notarizations through that. As far as I'm aware, and what Bob's mentioning you is, I've noticed a lot of the women standing out from the videos. I never had to because I had to get the affidavit because the embassies were closed when I went. But for but but usually what you're saying, Bob, is that a lot of them stand back.
I
So
could be wrong. I thought
yeah,
my wife was able to go in on the first floor, but you know
yeah,
what? She probably just she probably didn't. I think I had to turn in my phone and just say, "Okay, hon, where do I
oh really?
go?" Because you're not gonna be able to hold my hand up here. I have no idea where I'm going. And so they told me where to go. And then she may have been on the outside. So he may
Okay.
be right that you
Were
cannot
you
only
were
I
you
can go in.
Yeah. Were you able to get it right away when you arrived, or did you have to wait a day? Your legal capacity.
That's a good question, but I think the answer is I got it right away. I paid $50 for it. I never went back. I
Okay.
don't
Yeah,
recall
I was
getting
just, I was
mailed
just wondering if you
anything.
got off the plane, you went and got one. I was trying to figure that out.
No, it was the next day.
Oh, okay,
I had an
was the next
appointment.
day.
You got to have an appointment scheduled in advance. And we
Exactly. Yeah,
got
I
it
was.
cheap.
Yeah, I know, and I'm trying to like I never had to go, so it was not something I had to do. To do mine because I just got mine notarized elsewhere, and because the embassies were closed at that time, so they allowed everyone else to do it, and I thought it was a lot easier to do it elsewhere. So I was able to schedule and get one prior to showing up there, and but as of October 31st of 2023, you can no longer do that. So you have to go back to the embassy. And I
Mhm.
was trying to help people understand that, yeah, you have to go to the embassy, and I think you have to schedule an appointment no matter what. And I think it's probably best to go ahead and get like a hotel or Airbnb before you fly to your next destination or drive down to your next destination. You just go ahead and station in Manila somewhere. And I prefer, and I think Airbnbs are probably better off, because I think they're cheaper, they're more accommodating, you have better internet, you have better stuff around you, and you can get one pretty close. So and they're not extreme for cleaning fees like in the US. So
I want to say I stayed in something called the Bayview Inn
okay,
Hotel or something. It was right across the street, as were other
that's
places.
good.
But I also was told if you miss once, you get one do over. Otherwise, forget it.
Oh
So
really?
you want to get there a day ahead of time. You don't want to make a flight scheduled for that day. You want to get there, sleep, get up way early, and show up 2, 3 hours earlier because there
Really?
could be a long line. And when it
Oh, I
comes
didn't
like
even think.
11 o'clock or something on a Monday for me, you better be there. So we probably got there several hours early because she said you have to be here early, and because you got to wait and wait and wait, then you got to get up and be there on time. So we probably got
Yeah,
there 3 hours, four
yeah.
hours early.
Yeah, and I think they close like they want to close in early too, in the middle of the day. That's what I've heard. So yeah, but I haven't been there, so I don't really know. But that's a good point, to know that a little bit.
Yeah,
So
be prepared, definitely.
yeah, we are video calling a mess. Oh, okay, that's good. Okay, I guess he's talking to my wife about that situation. My girl is Catholic, and I drift from Christianity to Buddhism to Taoism, in no particular order. Freely, we get along like two peas in a pod. Well, okay, well that's perfectly fine. I mean, if you want to do that, but there's certain attributes, and this is something that I think, even if you're swaying around, you're trying to feel out your spirituality. You're not standing on one ground. That's just how I feel, Warren. And I think the Bible has a lot to say about that. That we need a firm foundation, and Jesus Christ is our cornerstone. That's how it works. You know, Bob, do you have anything to say about that? Because I think so. I think yeah, there's a difference between religion and spirituality, and I think a lot of us we really overlook that. And I think if you're flowing around, and if your wife is flowing around with you, I mean, it could work, it could not work, it can get you in trouble for it. You know,
I think I'll throw in this because I mean it's a controversial thing. I don't usually talk
sure,
about myself on the channel, but since you started it and it's all your fault, if anybody's upset, I would just say that that could be a match not exactly made in heaven. Um,
sure,
because if you're really truly devoted to Catholic doctrine and dogma, and then there's something else that's totally different, and they're really committed to the other, I don't see how they're going to meet anywhere in the
yeah,
middle. I mean, I just
yeah,
don't. I don't know how that would work. But in your case, you're saying it's working, um, and
more power
maybe
to
you
you.
haven't really delved into what makes her Catholic and what makes you something else. But it would work, better, I would say, if they were
Yeah,
if they were the
I'll,
same.
I'll yeah, I'll put it this way. Let's just say she wanted to go to Catholic mass all the time. Let's just say she's Catholic. She wanted to do a Catholic mass all the time. She wants you to raise her kids Catholic. She wants you to do that. And then you suddenly just choose one day out of the ordinary where you don't want to do that now. And I've seen this. I've seen this in church. I go to church, and I've seen many partners. They go to different churches, and she married a Catholic, and he no longer goes. He doesn't even go to Catholic mass, and she goes to my Baptist church, and she can't even maybe sometimes force him to go to church. And that seems like this the biggest issue. It seems like she's kind of picking at him to always come with her. And it doesn't seem to work really well. And they're arguing, they're debating. She's submitting to the fact that he's doing this, but that's kind of how it is. And is that really what you want to do? I mean, I don't think that's a good quality to have. I don't think there's good energy to have in your relationship, you know. But you could be sitting home drinking in your underwear while your wife goes to church. I mean, more power to you, but that's not something I agree with. I think if you really are devout to making things and effort work, you're going to participate with her with everything you do.
Paul and I are both kind of cut from the same cloth, and that is, we want to follow God's word, the Bible, for our relationships, our marriage, and so when you hear these occasional references, that's where it's coming up, because that's what we've been trained or what we've been thinking about.
That's what we learned. I mean, that's what
Yeah,
Christ is.
and we want to implement in our relationship. Otherwise, you have, I don't know, just hope that it works out.
Yeah,
I'd rather say we have a strategy. I'm the leader. I've got to see to it that I'm measuring up, which I don't always, and that we're forgiving each other and we're working, pulling together, in the same direction. And in 9 years, we're still doing that, and we always will have to
yeah.
deal with differences and the like. But we're committed. I don't know anything about those other uh, religions, so I really can't
Yeah,
say.
I'm not. Yeah, I know a little bit about Buddhism and what they learn about, about that, but Taoism I'm not too familiar with. But I just know how it works. Spirituality and Christianity, or even just religion. Spirituality, people go out there and view spirituality as the same as religiosity, and it's not the same thing. I don't agree with religiosity either. But the fact is that you know you know there's a guy in our model that taught us what to do. He taught us, how to model, and he didn't force anyone to do it. He said, "Follow me." That's what he did. And you're going to a country that guy in mind that told him and modeled all over that country with multiple different missionaries all over that country. People still go to that country all the time. I have a friend that's in that country right now in the Philippines through Luzon preaching Christ. And if you knew the amount of Catholic that's in that country and the amount of practices they do in Catholic, they whip their own back, in that country. They do things that to outwardly Christ wouldn't really want you to do, but they in some of these retrospect countries, they think that they need to model Christ in that perspective. They need to personally whip their own back, like how Christ got whipped on his back. I don't agree with those things, but the fact is that you're going to a really religious country, and you might have met her, and you might have gone along with her. But what is your view going to be of her in the future when she's going to want you to do things for the family? And that's where it really leads, is like God, our Christian God, our holy God teaches us and models that we are a union. We are this model. We need to be there for our family no matter what. And we need to be the ministers. We need to be the men in our family that we're supposed to be no matter what. And Warren, I'm sorry, we want to see you saved. I want to see you saved regardless out of that. And I know that you think you're going to drift back and forth in this world. You have to plant your feet somewhere in this world, regardless against Christ or for Christ, and you can dumb your way around. I used to do that when I wasn't a Christian, and I thought I was getting nowhere in my life. Now I found out I was getting nowhere in my life, and now I'm nearly 40 in my life, and I'm still not as close as I wanted to be when I was hoping to be this when I was younger. I'm trying to do this YouTube thing now. It's only because of Christ that I was able to do this. That's how I feel. Christ has taught me more than I can ever teach myself. And I hope he can teach you that too. So we're going to move on. So
I do agree with his next point there. You can't have one without the other. I mean, you can, but
the
Bible says whoever finds a good woman finds a good
wife finds the good thing.
Obtains favor of the Lord. So you want to find a good woman, no perfect women. I know I've seen men with long lists of requirements, just like women are known to do. I've also seen some godly woman, I don't know if it was Elizabeth Elliot or somebody else, she said, when you make your list of all the things you're looking for in a husband, tear it up and throw it
away. That's good.
You're just going to have to do the best you can when you meet somebody. I'm never going to tell my wife, hon, you're not matching up to my expectations. I can say, hon, I feel this way, I feel that way, but I'm at the same time, like I said, I'm 100% committed to her. We have to work it out, even if I have to suffer for a while through something like, the shift changes she's had that have been really tough on me. Well, somebody's got to do it. I'm not going to ask her to suffer for me. I don't think that's right. I should be the one doing those things for her. At least, that's the way I feel about it. But marriage is, to Paul and I, a picture of Christ in the church. Christ is the one who serves his bride. He is a servant leader. He also gave up his life for her. My wife isn't expected to do that for me.
No.
She is to be my helper, and to submit to me, which you flip the coin, and that means I need to be the leader she wants to submit to. She needs to know that when I say something, it's for her good. I'm not saying it to lord it over her. I'm saying it
many in the West have the
for you or
for us. That is. Yeah. We should never lord over it. I used to work at a Taco Bell, and I felt the energy of some of these women, and I felt some of these energy of some of the other women's when I went to Walmart and stuff. But particularly at this Taco Bell, is like this one woman, she was ordering food, and I noticed in like the side of my eye, like her husband is like in the car sitting there, and like eyeing her, and she's scared to hand me the money. I'm working the cash register, and she's like in a hurry trying to do it.
Oh,
And it's a real bad situation, that's not what we need to be. But I wound up watching her get in the car with the food at this Taco Bell, and out of side of my eye and everything, and I watched him like yelling at her,
mm,
mistreating her, verbally, not abusing. I didn't see any being abusive, but verbally abusing her. And and I've felt that, I've seen that, I've had comments, and I've had people around me that had those kind of attitudes. And then we also go through, when you marry your woman, when you finally bring her to the US, she's got to do an NFO, right? Right?
what's
You
that
said
called?
what that one class, the NFO, or what is it called?
Oh,
I forgot
the
what it's called.
Conference for Filipinos Overseas,
CFO.
CFO.
CFO. So yeah, they have to do a CFO class. And Bob will tell you, I've never had to experience it, but literally she's going to prepare herself for abuse. And
It happens
yeah, yeah, because it can happen.
because it
You
does
know,
happen.
you know, that she's going to go to a new country, and and the CFO class is going to prepare her and speak to her about what to do in case this happens with you and your husband.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's
what help you can get.
yeah, yeah, and this is just not something that we want to face.
But he
No.
talks about we talk about compatibility, and people will say, "Well, men are from what they say,
You
men are
can,
from Mars, women are from Venus. You can't get along with them." Yet,
yeah,
yet
yeah,
they
that's
are
true.
to be compatible to each other
Yeah.
because God made them different. Just
Well,
because they have a different mindset and different needs,
yeah.
temperaments, body, and so on, does not mean that that is not who we are supposed to be with. Certainly, you could say, well,
Mhm.
I relate more to a man. Why can't men marry men and women marry women? That's my turn to be controversial. Uh,
Yeah.
because
Go,
you're
go,
not
go.
you're not fit for each other. A
Yeah, you're
man
just not.
is fit for a woman, regardless of their observable differences in temperament and everything else. That is by God's design that they are
Yeah,
different. Now, if it's driving us crazy, they're either not the right person for us,
yeah.
or our expectations are unrealistic.
I've been around a lot of homosexuals in my life, and I've had some friends, and I've done some things in my past that I'm not proud of, that I'm not going to openly talk in public about. But the fact is that I've seen homosexuals and their relationships. I've seen them firsthand, and I will tell you that they destroy their relationships. That's just how it works. They openly have open relationships on multiple cases,
Uh,
and yeah, they do. They have open relationships on multiple cases. They have threesomes, and it's not something that I'm proud of watching, or like listening to. Not really watching, but I'm not proud of listening of it. But I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. I know what they do, and I know how it works. Firsthand.
it can't
It,
work. And now you see,
it doesn't work.
you see
Men
same.
and women relationships, like you said, Bob, they complement each other, no
Right.
matter what. Because we are two opposite ends of the spectrum, and God fits us in that perspective, in that way.
Same-sex couples get divorced too, or end up killing each other. I mean, so
They
do
do more than that.
heterosexual couples. But my point is, despite the differences, those differences are there for a reason, for our benefit.
Motion mode. So
Huh?
I turn off motion mode, so you do kind of.
Hold on, I'm facing some difficulties.
Yeah, I had to turn off motion
We
mode.
didn't have everything talked out tonight about what we're going to talk about, but so you never know
Better out.
on a live stream. But I do like talking about men and women are designed for
We're,
each
we're
other.
good. Yeah. Okay.
They
So
are
this is my
designed
son.
for each other. We just are.
Close
And
the door.
I need my wife's tenderness,
Thank you.
okay? And I hope that she needs my strength. Sometimes I need her strength, and she needs my tenderness. It all depends on the need and the situation. Me being older, we haven't even talked about age gaps, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Me being older, I should have more maturity to offer her. Okay, and I just should be able to do that because I am older.
Yeah.
I wasn't a dirty old man like people say you are for marrying a Filipina. I just wanted to get married. Until I
Yeah.
married her, I wasn't thinking about, you know, that was a brand new concept of marrying somebody younger
There's
to me.
there's a yeah, there's a particular point, and I kind of title this, you know, you know, that he's saying his woman is beautiful. I agree on this and stuff, that but there's more things that just physical beauty, beyond physical beauty, that just their character can be beautiful. You know, by
That's what
the by
I
the
got my wife. She's
huh?
got great character.
Yeah,
She told
yeah.
me one time when I fell in love with her, started to feel in love with her, fell in love with her for the very first time. She said online, we were talking. I still remember when she said that. She said, I don't have money, but I have my integrity. And I went to bed, could not get that phrase out of my mind. And then I thought, huh, couldn't stop thinking about it. And then the next day, I think I probably emailed my pastor. This was like day 12. I still have the email because I included it in my spousal petition. You want to have
Oh, okay.
a third party voice to say, yes, I know Bob, I know Isa, this is all legitimate. We've been
Yeah, that's legit.
communicating. So that's a good idea to remember for your petition. And I said, after 12 days, I said, Pastor Scott, I think I'm thinking about proposing to this woman. It seems like I've known her for 3 months. I had no idea it was only 12 days. And so he said, well, I don't want to keep you from getting married because we've been talking for a couple of years already. But he said, I wish you was about 4 years older, but I'm not going to stop. So interfere. So I had him interview her, talk to her on Skype one day, Saturday morning here, Saturday night there. And so he said, okay, I approve of your marriage. Since you're going to get married over there, I can't marry you over here. So I have to talk to your wife from computer.
Yeah.
But when she said that, I thought, don't I want a woman with integrity and that knows it? That's what I want.
Yeah.
Because that integrity, the things that make a woman beautiful that are not physical are only going to get stronger. Her integrity and her character, year after year after year, it's not going to look less attractive like our physical form. It's going to get stronger and it's going to get tested and it's going to get used and she's going to be more beautiful.
Yeah.
So why not start with that component of inner beauty, character, and integrity, whatever you want to call it,
I
and
had
build it from there?
yeah, I had well, I heard this. I heard this from another Christian perspective, and and this is something that they're talking about love, but they're also talking about sex, and and they said that sex, also love, is not something you find apart. It's something you make together. I'm gonna repeat that. Sex or love is not something you find apart. It's something you make together. And that really makes me understand that no matter what, you're gonna you need to work it out with somebody, and you need to love their character. You need to love who they are,
Mhm.
no matter what, because beauty's going to fade. Just physical attraction, physical beauty is going to fade. But over time, you guys are going to have some disagreements, and you're going to have some kind of understanding and some respect for them, some like that. I actually have this this list of these 10 requirements you need to have to love someone. And I've told my wife this. This is something I don't like to share with everyone because I'm afraid someone's going to steal it one day. And I would like to write a book on it or something. But the fact is, I call it the 10 responsibilities of love. And it's care, respect, understanding, trust, comfort, sympathy, concern, defense, acceptance, and communication. Care, respect, understanding, trust, comfort, sympathy, concern, defense, acceptance, and communication. You need those two things to work out any relationship you have in your life. I call them the 10 responsibilities of love. And I think you need to have those with any under any kind of relationship, no matter what.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
You're getting some more comments here.
Yeah, I know. We're getting more and more. It's good. It's good. So, Warren said, to the dark skin, poor, light skin, rich. It's a class thing. Dark skin is sexy and healthy. Something a redhead like me will never achieve. Gingers.
Well, you won't
So
care, Warren, if you're white as as a ghost, but because women
they
aren't
think you're desirable being a ginger, though. You know,
might,
honest, huh?
she might.
Yeah. Honestly, the lighter skin you are, the more desirable you are for a woman. I think even like women here in the U.S., they think women are very, very desirable. Sorry, gingers are desirable. So yeah, but um, m- hold on. Let's go up here real quick. Uh,
Not your
uh,
wife.
yeah, in a second. Yeah. He said I married a Filipina and she destroyed my life. You mentioned a little bit about this, and I think you commented on this that we're sorry about the fact that she destroyed your life. And we're praying for you on that one. We're but we hope that you can find someone that really does fit your criteria and someone that you can lean on. I don't know if you found her in the U.S. We don't know if you found her in the Philippines, but you know, we really talk about the fact is that if you can find someone that you can really model with Christ. So, it takes somebody once telling me this. It takes two repentant people to work together. So, this is my wife. What are some things you guys don't like about a Filipina? Because you guys mentioned that there's no perfect woman, and I agree with that. But yeah, what are those things?
Well,
We're Filipina and we're not perfect.
I think, Paul, it's the same type of things I would offer this. It's the same type of things that men don't like about any woman.
Mm,
At this point, it's we look to the Filipino for certain things that are different, and so the things that we're looking to escape from are probably the things we don't want to see. For example, let's say somebody says, "I found a Filipina in California."
mm,
Well, a lot of us know that the women Filipinas in California could be very liberal.
yeah,
Or even let's make it closer to home in
maybe
Manila. A lot of Filipinos in Manila are very much influenced by Western men and
yeah,
Western culture. People that live there, and they kind of ruin them in a sense.
yeah,
And so you don't, if you're looking for a non-Western type woman, then you don't want to see that in a
yeah.
Filipina. You don't want
There's
to see her with tattoos all over her, materialistic,
yeah,
bossy,
yeah.
swearing, drinking, whatever, wanting to be a master.
Drinking Red Horse or anything. Yeah, going to bars.
Oh,
Yeah, mistreating their parents and stuff.
oh yeah,
Acting.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you don't want to find that kind of situation. You want someone that really gives you that someone that's marriageable. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Marriage,
yeah. You're looking for what did you say? Marriage minded in one of your videos.
marriage
We,
minded,
that's what
sure,
we're looking for. You know. You
but
know.
not those women that say, "Would you like to marry me?" Oh, sure, yeah. Like it's too
Yeah.
casual.
Sure. Yeah.
Marriage is like becoming saved. You have to count the cost first
Yeah.
because it's
I
for life.
Yeah, yeah,
It
that
should
is.
be, unless they cheat on you, and then
Especially in the Philippines, it's for life. So, but
for
that's
now, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I would say whatever you're looking to the Philippines to get away from, those would be traits that you don't want to see.
yeah. You don't want to go to Angel City and find yourself a wife. I'm sorry. So just
Well, some make that mistake, but
I know, but so
no, no, that's not the seeds. Geographically, you could look in certain places and find better Filipinas than others. Some say the provincial girls, maybe not. Again, there's no. These are generalities, but if you find a woman that's in the provincial area now, that's probably a good sign. If she used to be and now is in Manila, she's probably going to keep
yeah,
her old
yeah,
school family values.
yeah.
If she was raised in a more Western place, she probably doesn't have those values.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. She lost a lot of traditional values. I guess that's what we want to say. I don't really like to use that word traditional values. I think moral and ethics. That's why I think. So, but it's overused a traditional values, but she's lost a lot of those traditional Filipino values that we're hoping to find in the East. So in a Filipina.
Now, this
But
next one here, Paul, we could talk for an hour, but
Chris
just
or
just to let you know, I told my
oh
wife, since we've had a blizzard today, and she already scooped once with the snowblower, that we need to do it again. and then we may go somewhere and visit some friends for a while once the streets get better, because it's nasty. It was nasty out there today. But this guy brings up a comment that is for a whole video topic. But why
What
don't
is
you
it?
see what you think about that?
Which one?
This one here that's highlighted, at least on
Oh,
my, I
yeah.
highlighted it or you highlighted it, but it's highlighted.
It is the one that God will decide. Are you
Yeah,
talking about that one? Okay. God will decide the right one for you. And if you find yourself alone, it is what God wants you so that you will get to know him instead of having sexy time. Sure. Yeah. So there is a particular, so for me, uh previously before I went to the Philippines, I thought that God wanted me to be alone. I did.
single.
I Yeah, yeah. He wanted me to go through a season of singleness, I guess we could say. And but there's a difference between being alone and solitude. That's a difference, and that's something I really learned. I even talked to my pastor about it, and I thought I was going to go through a season of singleness, and I think a season of singleness is good for us. Regardless, I think that there should be a particular point that you should need to understand yourself before you try to understand someone else. Before you get with someone else, you need to know your quirks. You need to understand what you're willing to look for in a female. You need to understand what you're willing to do for someone else, how far you're willing to achieve your own personal goals, and how far they're going to help you with those goals. You need to find someone who's traveling with you in the same direction. I think I've yeah that has the same goals as you are, or at least are willing to follow you in step with those goals that you're having in your life. Filipinas, one good quality about them is they don't think about the future as much, so they're kind of open minded to what goals you might have, and I think that's a good quality for them to have compared to someone here in the West who might have their own set of goals and you might conflict with each other. But but you should go through a season of singleness in your life. I agree with that. But more so you need to understand the differences between, are you feeling alone or are you feeling in solitude? Because Paul talks about it in the Bible that for his benefit, he was willing to be single. You know, he didn't have to worry about needing sex in his life. Paul was okay being single. And he says, I pray that you can be single like me because you can do more for God doing that. And but if you are struggling with porn, if you're struggling with sexual indulgences, Paul commands us to get married. He says it's better to marry than to burn. And I guess some translation says burn with passion.
Right.
But the fact is that the fact of what it means is you need to marry. If you have these desires, you need to get married. There are some people that walk through life without being, without having desires. I've met some people who don't have desires to have sex, who and they put their whole life into their career. You know, I think they need to do it for a ministry, but they put their whole life into a career. They live that mindset. They don't need it. But you need to, I guess you need to show, you need to be okay with yourself before you get with someone else. But you also need to understand where your head's at. Are you really thinking about doing this? Are you continuously having sexy time thoughts in your head? I guess that's how it is. And if you are, you need to get married. You need to find someone for you.
Well, you're echoing the same things I've been saying, Paul. What I don't understand here is if they're pointing out if this is a temporary situation or it's a
Yeah,
lifetime situation.
we don't
I
really know.
understand if you're 40 and single,
Yeah,
God didn't mean for you to get married. Well, that's not true. I mean, why are you single? What
yeah,
is it? Are you too
that's
picky?
true.
Or is God disciplining you somehow? Is it just a season? I was alone for 30 years. That's quite a season. So
Yeah, that's a big
every
season.
reason to say, I give up, but also every reason to say, God, you're not paying any attention to me. God, you're still punishing me for sins of the past. Has
Yeah,
to be the reason why I'm going into now 30 years of being alone. Why don't I just end my life? It can get really tough.
It
But the
can.
thing is, I hadn't considered the Philippines and looking another country to get married, and I'm glad I did. Back in 2015. So if I can't argue that if you're alone for a season, that God wants you to learn some things, but there are some people that seem to think if you're alone, that's an indication you're meant to be alone. That I do not agree with, because those people don't know anything about you. They just don't know, because there are a lot of people that just can't find anybody. What are they supposed to do? Marry the wrong person for the sake of getting married? Of course not. But you're right. This comes down to, can you live without sex? Good for man not to touch a woman, nevertheless to avoid fornication. Let every man have his own wife. Let every woman have her own husband. That's what it
Yeah.
comes down to. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that.
Yeah.
What's
That's
the
a
gift of
Corinthians.
singleness? Oh,
Yeah.
the gift of singleness is the ability to live single.
Yeah.
I know guys that say, "Oh, I love being single. It's great. Any girl I want." Okay, well, it's not it.
That's not single. That's polygamy. That's polygamy. That's
It's called fornication. It's not.
yeah, fornication too.
Single
Yeah.
life is like Paul's.
Yeah.
No, and people say, well, I see this once in a while on my channel. None of the apostles were married. Well, that's not true. Most of them probably were. Just because
We actually
Paul
see
wasn't
that
doesn't mean the
yeah.
rest of them weren't.
Yeah. Yeah. We actually see that Peter was.
Peter certainly was.
Yeah. Peter definitely was.
He was a pretty high level
Yeah.
disciple and apostle.
Yeah. I mean, the Catholics don't believe that Peter was, but we know that Peter was.
Mhm.
So yeah. So yeah. I guess this guy's trying to tell us a story. Do you want to go through the story, or do you?
Well,
just
I
want...
think you can see what he's getting at. He or she is getting at.
Okay, so he's saying, hold on. He said, I used to live in the city of Long Beach, and I saw her, and I walked along the beach, and I kicked it over. And then he talks about a genie came out and granted me a wish. I thought about how I've never been to Hawaii and said I want to build a bridge in Hawaii. And then he says, the genie, you should have seen his face. And he was so upset, and I kind of felt sorry for him. And he said, do you know how hard it is to be 4,000 miles along and asked a lot? Can you think of something else? What? So I said, I would like to know how to understand the mind of a woman. And the genie said, how many lanes do you want? Nice. God has me all to himself. I prayed for abundance of love, and I lost my fam and friends. Praise to the Lord, and his love is all I need. Okay.
Well, these comments here, if I may be controversial again.
Okay. Hold on. Let's read the last one real quick. And then I am 62, and I had everything a man could ask except for a jaguar. But today my soul belongs to Jesus, and no woman is good enough. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Bob. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I can't see the comment there because it's hidden.
Oh.
I was referring to all the other comments. Okay, now I can see. Never. I think I was playing with the cursor, and it made.
Yeah, you were hiding over it, but it's on the screen. Yeah.
Anyways, well, Christ brings the sword. I am also 62.
Yeah.
What I wanted more than anything was a wife.
Yeah.
And my soul belongs to Jesus too, and it always has. And a woman is not perfect. In fact, think about this. Jesus is a picture of Christ in the church. How frustrating must the church be 8 billion times a day to Christ when his bride, the church, is willfully disobedient, doesn't do what he says, doesn't follow him, and yet he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. He will make that church perfect someday, but not here on earth. When we marry somebody, we put up with frustrations just like Jesus does with us, his bride, the church. And that's all part of life. No woman is perfect, but that woman might need a husband that's a sinner like any other man, who loves God. He wants to protect and provide for his wife. He doesn't expect perfection. And, this is what I had to have. Now, my wife doesn't always satisfy me. Why is that? Well, she's a sinner. I don't always satisfy my wife because I'm a sinner. We learn and we grow. We learn to forgive and we learn to tolerate each other and learn about each other. But it's not about finding a woman that's good enough. I wanted somebody to love. I didn't care if she was dirt poor. I didn't even care necessarily if she was healthy. In other words, if she was, I don't know, paralyzed in part of her body or half blind, those things were not important to me. I wanted someone to love that was imperfect because I could bless her that way and she needed me. And I can show God's love to this imperfect person through the grace of God, doing everything I can to help her because I could be a blessing to her in her life. And I knew she would be for me because, like we started out 2 hours ago, I was looking for companionship, touch, sex. Those are three incredibly, to me, priceless things. Even it says, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is what? Far above rubies.
Yeah.
It's you can't put a value on a good woman. And a virtuous or excellent woman is still going to be a woman in need of confession and repentance, forgiveness. And so that's all that's out there. I just want to be the most special husband I can be. And I'm sure Paul feels the same way. If I died tomorrow, I want my wife to know he gave it his best. And I don't think I could have found anybody better. That's a tall order, but that's the way I think. I want to excel because when I got married, that didn't end anything. It ended the years of singleness, but it just began my marriage. So I'm very hungry until the day I die to be as good as I can. And that's what motivates me. Now, God is perfect, yet he frustrates me because things go not the way I want, like when I lost my job or I have all these injuries. I'm not going to blame God for that, even though he could have avoided that, but that's part of life. Mishaps happen to all of us. So I'm a little bit confused. No, I'm not being critical. I'm just saying that marriage is not to be finding that perfect person. It's to reflect Christ's love to his church, a sinful bride.
Yeah.
Not, oh, you're so perfect, I'm going to marry you, and I picked you out, you're going to be my. No, the bride isn't like that. The church isn't like that. He died, endured hell for her, so that one day when she dies, she will be perfect. But she's going to have to die first. But she will be perfect.
Yeah.
For him. That's why he died, so that one day they could be together. You read in the Old Testament, Jesus or the Father or God was married to Israel for like hundreds of years before he divorced her. Why? 600 years of unfaithfulness. So marriage is God's idea.
Yeah.
Jesus, God, Son of God, married, took a bride, the church, and we'll experience what that is like in its totality in heaven. So to me, if a man wants to be like Jesus, unless he has the rare gift of celibacy, singleness, he should marry.
Yeah.
How can you be? I told my pastor the other day,
I want
being married, you can really get a feel of what must be like for Jesus to lead his church. And when they're going all these different directions away from him, and it's tough. It's not a joyride all the time, but there are blessings you're not going to get anywhere else.
Okay. All right. So I want to interject with this guy. So Christ brings a sword. Okay. This particular gentleman, and then he says a woman must submit to me or there's no relationship. Hold on, Bob. I wanna interject. Okay. And a man does not need a woman when he has the Holy Spirit. It's possible, but here's the thing. Okay. Christ is the biggest model for us, you know, and and you could say that, but what did Christ teach? How did he teach it? Why did he teach it? And more so, what did God teach in the Old Testament? I'll tell you. In the book of Ezekiel, God actually calls Israel by its original name before he calls it Israel. I don't remember the word, but he points at an unloved baby, a baby girl in the middle of the desert wilderness. This is a story by God. He points at it. This child, this baby girl is left out in the elements to die alone. It's unwanted, it's unloved, it's undesirable. And God not only once says, but twice says to live. He points at this baby girl and tells her to live twice. The beautiful woman grows up, and, and he puts his garment around her. He marries her. This is his message to Israel. And then he talks later on about how her unfaithfulness is. How much more and how much more prideful can you sound right now? I'm going to call you out on it. How much more prideful can you sound when God alone, and how much we are proud? We're proud people. And how God resists the proud and gives grace to the humble. How much unfaithfulness does God have and seen in the whole human race? For you to sit there and say, you don't need a woman, you only need the Holy Spirit. I want to call you out that you're proud. I want to call you out and say that because I think you probably do. And I think your attitude shows it here on it because I'm boastful about it. And I know what Christ shows. I know Christ surrendered his life, and he shows us this model. He shows us this model when he wipes the disciples' feet. He shows us these things when he literally ties a rag around himself and washes his disciples' feet. And with that same model, he shows, and Peter says, Lord, do you wash my feet? And Christ says, unless I wash your feet, you don't belong to me. And then Christ literally, it's not even about washing the feet, it's about the towel. That's actually what the story is about. It's about the towel. And if you actually, he wraps his towel around him. Christ is tying this dirty towel to him. Was clean, now is dirty. And Christ lays down the towel like he's laying down his life. And at the end of that story, Christ says, do you understand what I did? Go and do likewise. Go surrender your life for me and go die like me. Go surrender your life. I asked my pastor this. What did you give up to be a pastor? And he said, honestly, an engineer. You have to give up something to gain things, no matter what. That's how life works. However it works, you have to give up something to gain something else. You cannot live life without doing that. I have to give up time with my son to do this live stream. And you have to do something today if you want a real woman in your life. You have to give up certain things for her. You have to choose what you want for her. And you have to model Christ as Christ modeled for you. Jesus says, men, actually, Paul says this in Philippians, in Ephesians, to love Christ love your wives like Christ loved the church and gave his life for it. You can sit there and say you love the Lord. I don't doubt that you might love the Lord, but you're being prideful about it. I want you to search your heart and ask God what he really wants from you today. I'll even pray for you today, and I think it's a good thing. You can be an engineer. I'm sure. You can be whatever you want, but there's certain things you have to give up if you really want a woman in your life, because it sounds to me like you want one in your life, but you're too resistant, and you've had too many failures in your life like the rest of us. I've actually had 32 failed relationships in my life. I want to talk about that. How many times have I praised the Lord today? It doesn't matter how many times you praise the Lord, but I can tell you how many times. It doesn't matter about that. You can praise the Lord for anything you want. But I'm going to tell you, man, that you're being proud coming on here talking about how you don't need a woman. I'm gonna, you know, so you can sit there and say these things like that. You know, I praise the Lord all the time. I praise the Lord for my son. I praise the Lord for my life. I thank the Lord for giving me the breath, the ability to live today, the ability to eat like some other people can't do. Yeah, I could thank him for that. I do praise him for that. But that's not the point. The point is, man, that we want to see you with someone. We because we know that God wants to be with Israel, but Israel's too prideful to be with him. If you go out through the Old Testament, all over the Old Testament, all the way up to the book of Malachi, honestly, I would hate to be a Jew because God, like, literally is trying to reach his people. And all they want to do is resist against him. How much are you resisting God today? I don't care how much you might praise him. You can give praise to God and still resist what he wants for your life. I've done it. I've done it a lot. So, and I probably still do it. I just want you to understand that you can't sit there and say that God wants you to go through the season of singleness. Honestly, man, I don't know what you're going through. Me and Bob don't understand it. We don't know what you're going through right now. Okay? But I can tell you that you probably got burnt by plenty of women like I have. I've been cheated on, I've been I've been mistreated. I got my son taken from me. His mom like literally gave up custody of him and I had to fight for it. You know, I got full physical custody of my son now. You know, I lived with a drug addict. You know, it's not something I want to talk about on live stream. But the fact is that's what happened. And yeah, you can be married to a woman for 14 years. Okay. Well, that's what happened to you, man. I want to pray for you today. Bob, maybe we can pray for him.
I'm still trying to sort through some of these comments while
he was married to a beautiful woman for 14 years. You know,
well, there's so much to talk about.
No, you don't need a woman to replace her. I'm not saying that you need a woman, but you need to. Okay. So if that's your situation, okay. Well, I'm sorry for your situation. Okay, that you know you don't need a woman to replace her. I'm not saying you don't need that. Okay, if that's what you're going through in life, then that's fine. But don't sit there and say you don't need a woman. Let Christ figure that out in your life. Because there's plenty of people that I've met. They're older and stuff, and they got remarried. They figured out that Christ had something different for them. You know?
Well, Paul, he was married for 14 years, and apparently it was a good marriage if she was a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
So at 62, a lot of guys just say, okay, I've been there, done that. I'm thankful for this. But there seems to be, on the other hand, a little bit of negativity in there. Like when it says a woman must submit to me or there is no relationship. Well, that's certainly not true, because you have to have that relationship going, and the submission is difficult for a woman. But here's the thing, that yes, women are submit to their husbands in everything as if he's the Lord. That's a tall order. But the husband, the one that she's supposed to submit to, she has to be so important to him that she knows he would give up everything for her. He would give up his health, his job, he does everything he can to meet her needs to the point of damnation of himself. Now, if that's your job every day as a husband. Now, if you don't do that, you meaning any man, does not treat his wife like that, the likelihood of her submitting to him as she is supposed to is not very good, because he is supposed to love her as Christ loved the church, so she can submit to that type of person. And if a man loves his wife that way, I don't think submission is going to be a big problem. If she knows deep down to the core, this man would do anything. I've told my wife, hon, I would give you my eyes if I could swap that out for you. Not be no, I wouldn't say, oh, that's too bad that happened. I say, no, if I could give you my eyes, they're yours. Whatever I can do to meet your needs. And it's one thing to say, oh, I would die for my wife, and then we don't want to take the garbage out. I die for my wife, but I want to make that trip to High V,
Yeah.
for some whatever food. Loving a wife is a tall order, and none of us do it standingly well because we're still fallen, unredeemed. But the Holy Spirit helps us to do great things we couldn't do before. But you want the wife to submit to you. That's going to be hard. It's hard for my wife to submit to me
Yeah.
after 9 years. We have this blizzard today, and she wants to take her car and drive to see a friend of hers, which we might see later. And I said, hon, that's dangerous. I got stuck just half a block from the house. Took 20 minutes, 3 guys to help shovel me out in the gym parking lot. And then I see all these cars getting stuck out here. I said, no way, no way. I'm sorry. This is what's best for you. I don't want you to get hit. I don't want someone to hit you. Now, that's a matter of submission. Even if she says, I don't care, I'll be okay. And that would really frustrate me because no man wants to not be submitted to. Sometimes that's what happens.
Yeah.
And you did not marry a robot. You married a woman who needs your guidance, your acceptance, your forgiveness, your understanding, and dwelling with her according to knowledge. So I'm not saying this about you, but in general, if I want my wife to submit to me, it doesn't start with slapping the Bible and saying, this is what the Bible says. It's me doing what I'm told to do, and that's to love her and be willing to give up my life for her to whatever extent, all my money, all my health, all my time, whatever she needs,
Mhm.
I give it to her. She has to know that over time. And the husband that does that, the wife is going to submit to him.
Yep. I agree.
Because how could she not?
Yeah.
How could
I
she
want to.
not?
Yeah. I want to read. I want to read 2 Bible verses to this guy. The first one is, I'm sorry for what's going on in your life, that God took her away. Okay. Honestly, a we live in a world that's not God's standard. We live in a broken, fallen world. God does take people away, but it's not the fact that God took him away. She's waiting for you. If she's a Christian, she's waiting for you. And that's the difference. In God's eyes, what death is changing location. We look at death as separation, gone forever. God took her away. I can't ever be here with her again. But I want to tell you that I want to read this Bible verse with you. Actually, I want to read 2 of them. I want to read Acts 17:26 and 27. And hath made one blood of all nations of men to dwell on the face of the earth, and is determined before times appointed the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord, if happily that they might find him, feel after him. That's what I read because I read King James. And find him, though he be not far from them anyway. God's not far from any of us. God's set in place, and this is Stephen saying this. But the fact is that God's not far from any of us, regardless of our predicament in life. He sets the bounds. He sets everything in tall order. Now, for your next question, the next thing is, a woman's like a vacuum cleaner in your attention when the Lord wants your time. I disagree, because Paul talks about this in 1 Corinthians 7:33. I would that you would be carefulness, being unmarried, being careful, okay, if you're unmarried, that the things that belong to the Lord, that he may please the Lord. But he that is married cares for the things of careth, whether rather that he cares for the things, how instead of caring for the things of the world, that he may please his wife. This is Paul. This is the Apostle Paul speaking. The fact is, that he's speaking of the fact is, if you're unmarried, you care about the Lord. But if you are married, if you were married, you are ministering to your wife. And that's better for God, that you two are working in unison, because God's design is for unity. Jesus Christ models this. He models this because the Father gives his Son a wife, the church. That's how it works. I've never been more happy than I'm now and alone and desire anything more than praising the Lord. That's good. I'm not saying that. But don't put it on everyone else who might want that. And man, if you want to go through the season of singleness and you're doing more for God and you don't have any sexual desires because that's what's modeled. If you have sexual desires that you're burning with desires and you're living that unrepented life, then that God says he wants you married. That's how it works.
Paul, his comment here, a woman is like a vacuum cleaner on your
Yeah.
attention with the Lord once your time. I mean, Paul being the apostle,
Hmm.
would agree that these being having a wife and children are a big drain of time,
Hmm.
but it also assumes that that is the right thing to do. If you're married and God blesses you, happy is a man that hath his quiver, arrow case full of them, which is like 9 arrows. Then God understands what a drain of your time. God is responsible for that drain of time. Your children and your wife, He understands that. That's what you are. That's what a man who has a wife and children on top of that. That's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be that way. It's not a bad thing. It is a God thing because God invented the family. The political, realm doesn't think family is important, but God
No.
sure does. He invented it. And yes, you're right. A woman can take up time. And I've been married for 9 years. My wife is working in school, and I don't always spend the time with her I want to. But that's part of God's will for my life. God gave me a woman who is, we talk about hardworking. She's very hardworking. She's bright. We need people like her working here. I mean, she's an amazing woman. She'll drive people home and to work that don't have any other way to get there. And she's the supervisor. They don't even have to ask her. She just cares about them. She's special. And God gave her to me, and I want to help her advance in any way I can, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. And sometimes it is not just, I've never looked at her as draining my time. Sometimes I wish I had more of her, but I'm not going to think about marrying somebody else because God gave me her. And if any children we had, look, that's not a negative. That's a total positive.
It
If
is.
you have children, you have a wife, that is a positive. And so I don't quite understand
Children are a gift from the
where the
Lord. Find a wife, that's a
disappointment
good
is.
thing. Yeah.
Right, Psalm 139. It seems, and I'm not being critical, I'm just trying to make an observation. It seems like
Yeah.
they're a little bit negative about something. And
Yeah.
a woman won't submit to you and have no chance. Well, women don't naturally. Do you
Women
always
in the
submit?
West
Do you
don't
always submit to the
typically work.
government? No. Do you always submit to your employer? No.
Yeah.
Are they supposed to throw you out in the street? No.
Yeah.
That's
No.
life.
No. Yeah. We live in a fallen, broken world, and it's not easy for us. And even on this last comment that you said, you're my junior and you don't know what I know. Well, maybe I don't know what you know. But I'll tell you what Solomon knows. I'll tell you what Christ knows. I'll tell you what the Bible says. You know, you could sit there and say that there's a difference between wisdom and knowledge.
Hmm.
Wisdom is knowledge learned,
Hmm.
you know, and oh, sorry, knowledge implied. That's what it is. Wisdom is knowledge implied. And me and Bob here, we're teaching you knowledge implied. We're teaching you good biblical sound wisdom. We're reading the Bible. We're giving you the Bible verses. We're telling you what Christ says. You know, on this is not me talking. This is Christ through me talking. This is what the Bible implies. And you could sit there and be arrogant to me and say I don't know anything. Sure, yeah, I'm a fallen, broken kid, and I don't have the experience that you have as an engineer. Okay, cool. But I'll tell you what God says, and I will sit there and stand for what Christ says. And we need to model what Christ says. We need to be there with Christ. We need to be there in the book. We need to understand what he is. And we're not doubting that you're saved. We're not doubting the fact that you don't love Christ. We're not doubting the fact that God has a plan for you, even though you've You've lost your woman in your life, and we feel sorry for the fact that you lost your woman in your life. But there's still opportunity for you in this life. There's still a chance what you could be doing. What Christ be showing you in your life. But what you're telling us right now is the fact is that you're better off. Okay, sure, you might be better off, but not everyone else is. Not everyone is in your predicament. I'm not in your predicament. We all live different lives. We all see the trees differently.
And Paul, I'm going to interject here to this other comment. God took her away so I would turn to him. I don't
Mhm.
think anybody can know
You,
why
you don't
God
know.
takes away. Some people, they lose their wife on their wedding night or their husband the next day.
There's a
It's
psalm.
awful,
There's
but
a
it
psalm
happens.
writer. There's a psalm writer actually. I forgot his name, but he actually lost two wives. He lost two wives. Um, one particular woman, she got deathly sick. He was getting ready to marry her. I forgot. I have to look it up. But he was betrothed to her. She was on her way to see him. Wait, no, not the no. That was the second one. But she got deathly sick and died. And for a while, his parents asked him to finally get married again. He found another woman. She was desirable and everything. He was getting ready to meet her. She was on her way, and her horse ran in the river and she drowned to death
Mm.
to marry him. He's one of our biggest hymn writers, and he had to come through a lot of passages and a lot of things and a lot of trials in his life. God does send us through trials. God sends us through seasons of difficulty. The Bible's all over that. And God can, just don't harden your heart to God, what God would want you to do through your relationship status.
And God can turn a man towards him again without
Mhm.
taking his wife away.
Yeah.
We just don't know what God is doing. We if a building collapses, we don't know why. We just
Yeah.
don't know why. And we,
Yeah.
we shouldn't hurt ourselves by
We should
trying
never
to
blame
get into
God
the
for it.
mind of God when it's not our business what he does. But 14 years of a beautiful woman is a great thing. But
I just,
I don't think take somebody away to get somebody's attention. I mean,
yeah.
there
I
must
just,
be a million ways he could do that, but
yeah.
taking a spouse away seems kind of harsh.
Yeah. I went to a funeral not too long ago, and it was a Baptist funeral, and this gentleman, he has two daughters with his wife. He lost his wife after 10 years, you know, and this was a Christian celebration of life. I don't like the other kinds, but so this is an actual modeling real celebration of life. They played her songs. They actually had recordings of her actually singing and everything too. But she passed away, and they talked a story about the fact is that she went through a big season of singleness in her life, and her parents kept telling her, just stay in church, stay faithful. She wanted to go out there and find a man and everything, and God will eventually bring the right kind of guy to you in your life. And then suddenly he walked in, and and they courted, they got married, they had two children together, they had two fantastic good years, and then she broke down, got sick, and she died. You know, you know, but the one thing is I noticed about that was how much God uses those situations for His glory. I've noticed just in the immediate, not in the long form. God sees everything beyond what we can see. But in the short term, what I notice is I've seen the family stand up and help that man and his two children. You know, yeah, he's going through devastation. He doesn't probably understand what's going on in his life. He doesn't know why God let her die. He doesn't know what's going on. But I can tell you that she's going to meet him on the other side. She's going to meet both of them. It's going to feel like a blink in the eye for her, for him. I mean, well, not really for him. I mean, it's going to feel almost forever. You're only on this life for 70 plus years. You're going to be dead longer than you're alive. That's the truth. You know, you're going to be in heaven way longer than you'll even be on earth. And you get to spend eternity with her regardless.
Yeah, well said, Paul. But a woman is not a waste of time any more than children are.
They're not. My
Is
son's never a
difficult,
waste of my time.
sleepless nights, and so on. It's part of life. It's God's plan. God's plan doesn't mean He wants a life of ease, or a life without always getting what you want. But this submission thing is a serious thing. It's not easy for a woman, especially if, even if her husband was Jesus Christ, perfect, she still wouldn't submit to him all the time. Think how hard it is for her to submit to us. She knows she's supposed to do that as a Christian. And if she knows other godly women, they're telling her that. And she knows it's difficult. Why my husband drinks, he doesn't pay attention to me. He comes home late, he whatever, watches football all day. Hard to submit to that person.
Yeah.
So all we can do is take care of our own self, be the best husband we can possibly be, pray for her to submit.
Amen.
Without demanding it, because it's not submission if you have to demand it out of her. It has to be willing and free. But I don't know. I just hope from this point forward you don't hold any grudges against God for taking your wife. I would feel terrible if God took my wife.
Yeah.
Terrible.
You know, Paul gives a warning about holding grudges. I just want to point it out there. You know, I got to find the Bible verse, but I know it's in Romans.
Yeah, the Bible says a lot about grumbling and complaining, stuff that a lot of us do frequently. We're never supposed to complain.
Yeah.
But that takes a lot of spiritual maturity.
I think it's like Romans 5. It's hard to read it in King James, but I'll try. Much more knowing the justify. No, that's not the one. But basically, somewhere in Romans, I think it's like Romans 2:5 or Romans 5, that God will use your wrath against you.
Hmm.
Yeah, that on the that your wrath is revealed. I forgot what it said. Your wrath is revealed. Your wrath is revealed. Bible verse. No, I have to find it, but I can't. Yeah. I can't find it right now. You know what I'm talking about, or no?
No, not sure.
Yeah. And I know Paul's talking about Christians there too. Yeah.
I am appreciative of Christ Brings a Sword and everybody that watched here tonight. We're down to one person. That could be us, for all I know. It could be one of us. But again, hopefully people will take a look at some of this later after the fact.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, we want to thank everyone and just have a good night. Like and subscribe. We plan on doing more of this in the future. So I can't. I really want to find this Bible verse.
Yeah, as Christians, we're going to take a look at life from a Christian perspective, whether it's parenting, singleness, marriage. Brandon just gets here after 3 hours and
How are you guys tonight? Just got here. Oh wow. Oh, Brandon, do you have anything going on?
Good to see you, Brandon.
Yeah. See if I can find it.
I hope you like this format. Paul has done a great job putting together this YouTube simulcast, I call it, where the dual comments. I haven't looked on my channel yet, so I don't have any idea what it looks like over there.
Yeah.
You might check later to see.
Hey Bob, can you read 2:5, Romans 2:5 real quick?
Do I have it in front of me?
Well, can you open it? Romans 2:5.
Oh, well, I'll just do a Google here.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for.
But because of your stubbornness and your unrepentant heart, you are storing up wrath against yourself for the day of God's wrath when his righteous judgment will be revealed.
Yeah. And that's a warning to Christians there. So not yeah. So so we need to be repentant people. So good to see you guys. I love the format. Really cool the way of live stream. Thank you. That's cool. Yeah, yeah. Just like and subscribe to us, me and Bob and stuff, and we will. Why is it not showing our? I thought it would show our layout. That's weird. Huh. Oh, okay.
That's
Maybe.
the part we saw when we were practicing.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. I guess when the comment shows up, it takes away our tag. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I
Yeah, I
didn't know.
like this format too, Brandon, because
Mhm.
it's not just me talking, it's not just Paul talking. We do have a kindred spirit,
I'm a
about
little bit more stubborn. But
Christian relationship with his wife and the world and his God, and so and we're in different marital situations. We're both married to a Filipina, but he's
Mhm.
younger, I'm older. She's not there yet with him, and my wife's
Yeah.
here. So I'm hoping that there's enough out there for people to relate to each of us. And you
Yeah.
must have got
You
my
can
note.
always watch the replay after this live. We're about to get off here and everything. But Brandon, if you have any questions or comments and stuff beyond this, I mean, we can shoot you some advice before we get off here real quick.
Yeah, we were talking about why men want a Filipino or an Asian woman, east and west. Why do they leave the west to go to the east?
Hmm.
And just some of those reasons why. Since we both did that,
Yeah.
as many of you still want to do, I hope people still want to do that. And so that's what we were talking about. And then it's
Sounds
going to
like
run
it.
into some
Yeah.
other excursions, which is perfectly fine because I believe whoever God sends there to comment is good. It may be a total troll,
Yeah.
somebody that really takes us to task. Well, that's fine. That's what this is for. It's not going to offend me. I just want to respond in the most accurate way I can.
Yeah. I don't try to I'm not one to get offended. I get defensive. So and it's probably not good for me because I know it's my part of my pride that comes out, but it is what it is. So he said, okay, it's fine if you want to rewatch it. Yeah, we're currently 3 hours in right now. But
Brandon, if you're still there, I got a question for you.
okay.
What's the state of the YouTube vlogging community these days?
Mm,
I think I've been
okay.
familiar with you for a while. I've been doing these for about 5 years, 5.5 years,
Mm,
and
I know.
a lot of the former sexpats are now married. So,
Mm,
which is good that they got married and settled down like they should.
yeah.
But
So
we want people to get married from the start and be
it's good to get
devoted from the start.
beneficial, you know? Yeah, it really is. Mm.
I still watch some of the same channels. I really don't have time to watch a lot of channels.
Oh,
I might
I
get
binge watch
I might
YouTube, so
get just a couple. I'll get a notification,
yeah.
a couple, and then I might say, okay, what are they doing lately?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I watch a lot of I don't watch or anything. I don't watch that kind of stuff. I don't really watch a whole lot of stuff. I was watching some people. I try to follow certain people that stick to pretty good morals, morals and stuff. I try to, even if they don't express Christ, they have some good morals in what they believe. If they're not following after good states and stuff, I don't watch them very long.
And the
So
community, if there is such a thing, needs that, Paul. It needs
yeah.
to know there are people out there that genuinely want to be a good husband to a good woman. They're
Yeah.
willing to go thousands of miles away, go through all that process, visa
Yeah,
process.
why would you want to go all the way out there just to? I'm sorry, and I want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this, but I do, and I want to talk about this in the future. I want to create maybe a live with you about that term passport bros. What was that one guy's? You mentioned the one guy that started the passport bro revolution. He coined that term. What was his name?
I don't know because I
Uh,
wasn't
his
even
name was like
aware of the
Brandon
term until
something
last
or something. I
year.
think. Yeah.
Who?
Well, you mentioned his name. You mentioned his name in one of your videos.
Oh, I don't remember. I did
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
video because I never heard of the term before.
Oh, okay. But there was a recent one that you actually used his name, and you actually, and I wound up looking him up,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, I wound up looking him up, and I wound up watching a couple of his videos on YouTube. I watched some of his shorts on TikTok, and then I like in his TikTok description it says it literally says it on in his profile, before you judge me, check out my YouTube channel. So I did. I checked out his YouTube channel, and I wound up stumbling across a video. He winds up getting kicked out of, I guess, Brazil for being basically a sexpat. I mean, that's what he was, and he wound up, giving people a lot of false hope and having a lot of people misinformation about what he's doing. And he winds up traveling to this country in Brazil, and he got a lot of hate and got drove out of that country. And I think he went back to Africa.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, he went back to Africa and everything. But there was a video of this one gentleman, and this one gentleman actually says, like, you're giving people misinformation what's going on here, and it's our job as not sexpats, as true good informative people, to make the right kind of choice. We live in the States. We're not the expats in the Philippines. That's not what we are. We're not living up to life telling you how blessed and how beautiful it is. Honestly, I went to the Philippines and there's a lot of garbage everywhere. So I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows in the Philippines, and I have some minor inconveniences about my experiences living there. Would I live there? I could. Would I be happy? I'm inconsistent about making that choice right now. Whether or not I would actually be happier there or bitter about being there, you know. And I'm just kind of wondering about that. I would love to go to a cheaper country and live it up, but is it beneficial for me? Is it beneficial for my mindset? Would I get angry that I can't use my cell phone? I'm sorry, I'm a millennial and I like to use my gadgets. So I like good internet. I like good gadgets. You know, I don't want to have to. I want to pick between 80 cereals in Walmart, not
Mm.
four cereals in a small grocery store. That's just how it is. you know,
It takes some getting used to. I
it does.
mean,
Yeah, you only have four choices in the Philippines, or you have 80 choices here in the States. I mean, so.
you look at these guys like Rike got married, good.
Mhm,
Ned got married, good.
mhm,
Paul, I think, got married, good. Gio got or is getting married, good. I don't know
mhm,
how they feel about their image or if it makes any difference to them, but I would like to see men going out to the Philippines to look for a wife, not a plaything. And so I'm glad to see these, people get married.
yeah, yeah,
Now they have to stay married. They have to do certain things and give up certain things to maintain the marriage that they have.
yep. It takes commitment. That's
Can't
what
live
it
like
is.
you're single when you're married. You're not single
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, no, you're not seeing anymore. You finally have to face some commitment in your life. You have to give up something to gain something, like I told you. You know,
And that can hurt.
yeah, yeah,
But you look at what you're gaining.
yeah, yeah. What is it? Godliness with contentment is great gain.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
both of those things can be difficult to
yeah,
achieve.
yeah. They are.
But is it great gain? Yeah, certainly live longer, less sleep better, less stress.
Yeah.
You have a contentment day. I wish I could be some of those people that, oh, everything didn't go my way today, but I'm happy and content and I'm going to sleep well. No,
Mhm.
I'm stewing about what didn't go right and who wronged me and
Oh,
why the doctor's office was like that and why that bill is so high. And,
mm,
it does ruin my peace. Until I'm dead, it's going to be a battle
yeah. I
dragging
can.
around this body of death, until
Yeah.
we're gone, and then we're
Yeah.
fine.
Paul,
And
who will save me from
peace.
this body of death? Yeah.
We'll have peace.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't trade my wife for anything.
Me
Every
neither.
difficult moment we've had, and we've had plenty, we have a
Mhm.
chance to make up and learn and grow. And it's just I think it takes longer if you're married to someone from another country because you don't get to know each other much before. How can you do that when they're so
Yeah,
far away? So you just get married and you start to learn about each other, and you just try to be the best husband you can possibly be.
mm,
Be the best you can possibly be. And even if he's not a believer, a woman that's a believer might stay with him if he treats her right. You know, you don't divorce your spouse just because one of you became saved and the other isn't. You stay together.
that's what it says. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You stay together regardless. Yeah, yeah.
If there's sexual immorality, sexual sin, adultery, well, it's a whole different story, in my opinion.
Well, it depends on that regard, and that's a whole nother topic. If they're repenting for that, there is an opportunity for both of you to walk together in that. It's a long process. The people do, you know. I mean, if you come out and tell your spouse, tell your wife or your husband that you've been sexually immoral and you've cheated on them, and you want to be forgiven for it, you want help, then there is an opportunity for you guys to rescue your marriage. There's
There is.
always, yeah,
I,
there's always that opportunity.
I wouldn't expect a woman to do that, and I don't think she's obligated to. He
No,
needs
no,
to keep his
no,
distance
but
and
there is
not
that
fool
opportunity.
around because that is a killer.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's a killer. Not many women like I can't speak about their sex life, but like Johnny Cash must have been hell on earth to live with for June Carter Cash. I don't know if he
Yeah.
was faithful or just alcohol and drugs,
Mm,
but that woman loved that man for
yeah.
some reason. She
Yeah.
loved him and she stuck with him. Beautiful story,
Yeah.
actually, as he became saved and he amazing person actually.
Yeah.
I saw Johnny Cash one day on TV. I think it's from memory. It was just reciting the Bible. It must have been a whole chapter just
Mm,
from memory. I mean,
wow.
but he had a much changed life at the end of his life. But
He
it,
did.
it's nice to stay together. But
Yeah.
the Bible is clear; they don't have to. If
Yeah.
there's if there's if there's if you cheat on someone, with most women, it's over. Most men probably could work it out.
Yeah.
Women, no. It's that important. You have violated something so serious to them, trust, intimacy, and she's probably gone. In most cases, I
In
know
most
some
cases,
women
I
not
know
have.
I've heard,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, I've heard that they did, that some of them worked it out, and I listened to Focus on the Family, and they, and there are some stories, of some sexual immorality, and like, and he's came clean, and then all of a sudden, she's targeting him with questions like, who was it with, what time were you, what doing were you, like this, and she starts drilling this guy, because she's trying to figure it out, and she's trying to process it, and she's trying to figure out what to do, and but they did come through it. It's not an easy process. It's not an easy process to face. I actually have somebody else that he wasn't being sexually immoral. He wasn't actually doing it, but he got into a flirting state with, like, over text with a girl,
mm.
and there was some intentions going on, and he came clean to his wife about the situation, and they had a rough road. They had a rough long time, but they worked through it. So, you know, yeah,
One of the differences between men and women. A
yeah.
man would more likely be able to say, "Okay, just don't do that again."
Well, this was a man that did it. It was
Well,
a man, yeah, yeah. It was a man that did it. His wife
yeah, but if
forgave.
the woman cheated on him, he's more likely to say, "Well, I didn't
Oh, okay.
appreciate that. Just don't do it again."
Yeah, it's just,
He's going to say, "You owe me big time, brother," or I even give you a chance.
well, it can be that way. I don't know if someone ever cheated on me, it would be a rough road. I don't know. If my wife or somebody cheated on me, I wouldn't it would have a hard pass. I would have to really, really walk deep with God about that situation. About, if I caught her, that's a different story. If she repented to me and was asking for forgiveness for it, that's a different story. I
You,
just think, yeah, yeah.
you're familiar with John MacArthur.
Huh? Yeah.
John MacArthur. Well, I saw somewhere an article where somebody asked him, if your wife cheated on you, would you divorce her? You know what he said?
What?
No.
Mm.
And that's the way I told my wife, hon, I'm going to do my best to love you. If
Yeah.
something happens and you cheat on me, I said, look, when the Bible says I will never leave you nor forsake me, that means I'm not going to
That's
leave you.
right.
Do I have a right to divorce you? Yes. Would
Yeah.
I? No, because I want her to know
Yeah.
she is 100% safe with me. That is not giving her license to go out and cheat on me. It's not to help her feel that she can let her guard down. What it means is when I say I'm here for life, I mean it.
I
Okay?
agree.
Don't go cheating on me.
Yeah.
But if something of that happens, I will want to understand. I will ask questions and I will forgive you. And if it happens over and over and over again, well, that
Well, then
means
you're
right.
unrepentant, and it's a different
Yeah,
thing.
because then they're not repenting
Yeah.
if they keep doing it over and over. But if that happens, I think MacArthur and it was, I think, a tough question for him to answer because
Mm.
while you would have the right to, I feel like at the end of the day, you'd be more Christ-like if you said, "I'm not going to divorce you." A man would be, I think, more likely to do that than a woman. I just don't think a woman is very likely to give him another shot. It
Yeah.
happens. I know it happens. I know that personally that happens. But as I liked
It
what he
doesn't give us any liberty to do that, though. So,
well, if she commits fornication or adultery, I can divorce her.
yeah.
Just like Joseph was a righteous man, it pointed out in case we missed it seek to put away Mary.
Yeah.
That it was either that or let her get stoned to death.
Yeah.
And so he didn't want that to happen.
Rarely.
So he was just going to put her away. Just don't tell anybody. You know,
Mm.
I guess that's good. The noises I hear from the bedroom. My wife is happy. She's talking to somebody and they're laughing. Sometimes you don't know if it's laughing or crying when you hear somebody talking
Yeah.
in the drum. And we're supposed to go to their place. Man, it's dark as can be out there, and I think we got
You're
to.
gonna go in the snow and all that? Oh, I don't know.
Well, the streets should be
Late
better
too.
now. And she wanted
Okay.
to go over there, and I told her we would
What?
after the game,
Oh.
which is probably halftime.
Mm.
I'm glad to keep talking with you because you never know
No.
what's going to happen. I always like talking about marriage because I can teach
Mm.
and say, look, this is what I want to do for my wife. That's my level of commitment. People
Yeah.
say, well, you're a simp. You're nothing but a good for nothing simp. I say, no, I'm trying to be Christ-like here. Because Jesus
Yeah.
said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. Does that mean under any circumstance? Yeah, that's what it has to mean.
Yeah.
If my wife, if she loses her mind or loses her health or loses her wealth or whatever, I'm there for her. I made that commitment and it means something.
Yeah. No matter what. Yeah. We
If
we have
she
to we have to
falls,
we have to strive to make that commitment no matter what. Yeah.
well, that's why look. I forgive even that. If she cheats on me, she probably doesn't like it that it happened. Um, but I have to. I feel like MacArthur. I would not leave her for that because I would not feel like I'm representing Christ in the way I'm supposed to if I said, "Oh, yes, I have the right because of the hardness of men's heart to let you go. I'm just going to choose not to. If you'll stay with me, I'll choose to forgive you, and we'll get better." That's what I would do if that terrible situation happened. It doesn't mean she needs to know there's nothing she could do to lose my love and affection. I want her
Mm.
to know that
Yeah.
no matter what. And I have to mean that. I can't just say it because it sounds good. I gotta
No.
mean it. To that extent, to what extent do you love her? Okay, how about that extent? She loses her health, her her everything, her mind. Do I still love her? Yeah, you better believe it. That's my calling now. Whether it's to wipe her butt or give her pills or drive her around. That's my job. Okay. No complaints. That's what I signed up for, whatever happens.
Yeah.
No problem.
There's yeah. I'm gonna get the story wrong, and I guess we can go after this. There's this one story of this one guy and stuff, and like his wife is like begging for help and everything, and she's getting upset, and he's just sitting on the couch. He's like, I don't do nothing for you, and finally they get in an argument, and he goes over to his friend's house, and everything, and and he and he's hanging out with his buddy. He's also married too, and like she walks in, like his buddy's wife walks and everything, and says, "Do you guys need anything? Here's some sandwiches." And then they have a little kiss and everything, and then she goes off and walks into the kitchen and everything. And then she's like, "Oh, well," he's like, "Man, you got such a great wife. I wish my wife would do this for me. You don't have to do anything. You sit on this couch and you don't even care." And then she's popping out of the kitchen and be like, "Oh, honey, can you go to to the pharmacy and pick up my medicine?" And he's like, "I guess, yeah, I'll get up and go do it and everything." And he's driving with his buddy. He's just like, "Man, why would you do this for your wife? I wouldn't do this for my wife. You had it made. You were just sitting on the couch and everything." He's like, he turns to her and he says, "My wife, I'll do anything for her, no matter what. No matter how little and how small. And you're disrespecting your for wife for not doing the same thing."
I think that's what a real man does.
Yeah,
He doesn't
yeah,
avoid women. He doesn't
yeah,
avoid marriage.
yeah.
He imitates Christ by getting married and loving a sinful woman. The difference is he's a sinner too. But we
Mhm.
have the Holy Spirit to help us, you know, accomplish or walk in God's will. And we need that. Ephesians 5 is all about walking in the Spirit. That's how you have a godly marriage, is you be filled continuously with the Holy Spirit. And we all need that. And when we are living in sin, we are not being filled with the Spirit. We're not walking in the
Exactly.
Spirit. But it's great to have somebody that you can make up with after disagreements and arguments, and just build that relationship. And
And just keep building on it.
we're
Yeah.
still building 9 years later almost.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Paul I don't know if you know Paul Chappell, but Paul Chappell, he actually wrote a book, Are We There Yet? It's a marriage counseling book. Yeah. Yeah, Paul, by Paul Chappell. And one thing that he mentions in that book, you know, obviously marriage is not about the trip, it's about the journey. But he even says after that sake, he says none of us have arrived.
Mhm.
N- you
That's
know,
true.
yeah, none of us have arrived. We have not arrived at that point. Marriage is a journey that none of us have arrived yet.
Well, you never know. Things could go really good until somebody loses a job or gets cancer or gets hit by a car or
Yeah,
gives into temptation from somebody at a weak moment. And then you find out what you're made of. And you always just have to trust God and then love her the right way. And that's not easy to do when you
no,
feel violated and offended by the person that's supposed to love you more than anyone else. But it's like the Bible says, if you want to close with this, give and you will receive. You give, you get what you give in
hmm
a marriage, especially. If I give my wife the love I'm supposed to give her, I'm more likely to get the submission and respect that I want as a husband because I give her my life. I give her benefit in every way possible. If I'm not going to be giving, if I'm not getting, that probably means I'm not giving much. And if I'm getting a lot, you know what? It probably means I'm giving quite a bit too.
yeah,
And that's what I want to do. Now some of this stuff, pretty deep stuff, for guys that aren't married, but you should be thinking about what kind of husband you want to be when you get married.
yeah.
You want to be like average husband, or do you want to be an exceptional husband?
I want to be an exceptional husband.
Yeah,
So,
well, I know you do, and I know you got the right blueprint for it,
mhm.
and we both do.
It
As
took me a while to get there. So, and
well,
yeah,
we can encourage each other. I mean, because
mhm,
we're speaking the same language. That's what my pastor does. If I say, Pastor Scott, I need help, this is bothering me, he's not gonna he's gonna tell me what my responsibilities are to my wife. He's not even gonna go where her responsibilities are to me, because that's not the issue. The issue is, okay, you explain the situation. Here's what God tells you to do. Now, if my wife was doing the same thing with a godly woman, they would say the same thing. Well, let's focus on what God tells you to do.
mm.
In fact, our we call them sponsors at our wedding, on our wedding night.
How many
Told,
sponsors did you have?
oh, I don't know.
A lot,
Well, if
probably.
you count their spouses, it was probably 16, 18.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess 6, 7, 8 married couple. Most of them were married. And
That's one thing we need to talk about later on. If you get married, you need sponsors in the Philippines.
oh,
Yeah,
she'll pick them.
yeah, yeah,
We met them all, and she'll pick them. But he told
yeah.
us, he said, two pieces of advice. Number one, be patient with my wife, and number two, don't try to change your wife. He said, you won't get anywhere until you work on yourself first.
Mm,
Work on yourself. You'll
yeah,
see
that's what I was
changes
saying
in your
earlier.
wife.
Yeah,
That was his advice to me as somebody marrying a woman from the Philippines that I'd never done before or even thought of doing before. And I have to admit, that's pretty good, wise counsel.
yeah, yeah. That's what I was kind of mentioning earlier. You need to go through that season that working on yourself. I don't know who said this, and yeah, we need to close probably. I don't know who said this, but women will find those who are in moving in the proper direction in their life. When you're finally working on yourself, women will finally, I mean, they'll come out of the woodwork, and they want to walk with you in that, whatever your goals and your plans for your life. You know?
You want someone that's humble.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. On top of it, yeah, you need someone that's humble. But the fact is that, women are desired. They're naturally desired to guys that have a purpose. So when you finally have that purpose in your life and you're moving in that direction, it's finally there. But when you have no goals, no plans in your life, and you're just kind of floating in life, why would a woman even be desired to even hang out, be with you? You know, you
That's
know.
so sobering statement.
So yeah. So
You have
and
to
I
be
think
excited about
and
something.
and I think for us, especially as being Christians, and especially for us being, I guess, Westerners going abroad, I think that's what, like, our purpose. Our purpose is to get married. We want to fulfill that goal in our life. We want to fulfill that completion with Christ. We want to fill that union. So we already have that purpose. We're striving we're striving to finally find someone who's willing to walk with us in that. So
I'm sure glad I looked to the west or to the east for my wife.
west, east,
Depends
yeah.
where you start, what direction you're going.
Whether they're looking they're looking west and we're looking east. So yeah.
The satisfying thing is, Paul, I took the initiative to go look for her. When
Hmm.
you go look for treasure, you spend a lot of time and money. You don't always work out. Doesn't mean you don't always find it,
No,
but you
no.
keep digging. You keep looking somewhere else, and you get better equipment, and you look harder, and you get better advice, and you keep looking, and you don't stop till you get that treasure.
You
I
keep listening. A
just
lot of
look for life
treasures,
like that.
a lot of treasure. This is a good point, but a lot of treasure is found. I don't know if you ever this is I wouldn't a lot of treasure is found by rumors. By people that have been certain places. Well, it's not there. Obviously, that place is kind of already used up or something. People have already dug through that area. Well, obviously you probably don't want to go there. But the fact is that you hear these rumors of these places that people have discovered things or certain things. I don't Dave Ramsey's kind of said this too. People are always looking to get rich, and the great gold rush that everyone just flaunted over, to that whole area because somebody discovered gold in some river. But the fact is that, you you need to plant yourself somewhere, but you need to understand that you need to be flexible with what's going on in the world, especially finding a right kind of woman. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of women. There's a lot of gold in the Philippines right now. A lot of women that are golden. There's a lot of women that are not golden. So you got to find the golden ones.
Is
But
it worth
the
making the
nuggets.
effort to go out there? That's what each man has to understand. We're just two guys that decided, yeah, it's worth the effort. I'm going to see how it goes.
Hmm.
And now we're both married, and Paul's wife hopefully will be here
I'm
at the
hoping this
end of
year.
this year.
Yeah, hopefully by this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, on my USCIS it says 4 weeks. It says
For,
4 weeks. Just for the first stage, only through USCIS, not MVC yet.
oh,
Just
wait, is that the last stage? The
it says
Nebraska, the what is it? The something visa center, National Visa Center?
I'm not there yet. I'm not
Okay,
to that
that's the
point.
second stage. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it
I'm
was
at
the other way around. I don't remember. It's been so
yeah,
long.
yeah. I'm through the first stage right now, going through that first stage. So it says 4 weeks left, estimated 4 weeks left. So
Let's hope the second stage goes fast. I hope.
Supposedly, yeah. I'm hoping so.
So, well, I hope you're pleased with how things went tonight.
Mhm.
Again, I'm glad happy for the people that came on. Let's debrief tomorrow. I still got a lot to do yet tonight, and we can debrief tomorrow and talk about the live stream and talk about whatever analytics. I haven't looked
Okay,
at that yet.
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah,
I'll
yeah. If
talk
you
about
guys
it
just want
next
to get on, yeah, if you just want to get on a video call or something, talk about it tomorrow, or I'm also off Monday. I don't know what you're planning on Monday. What's your plans Monday?
Well,
Martin, it's Martin Luther King.
here. Oh, that's right. I think my wife. Yeah, I have to ask her. I doubt they're off. We haven't had a holiday yet, other than New Year's
Mm.
at her job. Well, we did. She might be off. I don't know. It's hit and miss on this particular holiday. We
Okay.
always worked on it when I was working. Well, I mean, I don't have any appointments or anything special other than the morning, so I'll be
Okay.
around.
Maybe we can debrief Monday. I got some things going on
I
tomorrow.
can put it there. Then I won't bother you with it this weekend.
That works. Yeah.
Okay. So Paul. Yeah.
Yeah. Schedule to talk about what's going on this, and then we can regroup and see about our next live or something if we want to. So,
yeah, it may not be 3 hours and 40 minutes in length.
It's fine.
Look at the analytics and see how that goes. And
yeah, we still got 4 watching. So thank you all. Thank you for watching.
oh, I didn't know anybody was watching. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, 4 still watching us, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're gonna
I wouldn't
close
say
it.
anything here. I wouldn't say with 500 people watching. Or
No, it's good. It's good as long as we get 4 watching. You know, that's more. It's more time for us. So that's 4 extra hours that we're 3 or 4 extra hours that we're getting for exposure. So it's good per eyes. It's
Those
good.
4 people, please consider subscribing to our respective channels if you have not. So
yeah. So I put it down in our tags here. So for Paul, it's Joanna and Paul all together. Joanna with 1 N. And then for Bob, it's Love Beyond the Sea. So, yeah.
Brandon, thank you for watching. And thank you for everybody else on the list there that chimed in tonight.
Yeah. You all have a great night. God bless.
Well, you too.